Hi there. How's everyone doing? How's it going and how everyone doing turn into how's everyone going? Anyway, hi there. I'm opening up and letting people in. And as I do that, everyone who's here, please head over to the chat and give me a little hello. Hi there. How's it going? Hi, Ed. Hi, Sarah.
Diane, how are you?
Andrea, nice to see you. Leon and Vera. Mimi, you're back. All right. Suzanne. All right. I'm going to rename you Mia. Oh, you already did it yourself. You know what, though? You left the word Mimi, but you need to still put your last name in there. That's more important. Mimi is for me to know what to call you, but the last name is for the roster to show that you're attending. And then especially if the first name isn't the one that's on the roster, the last name does have to be. Perfect. Hi, Suzanne, nice to see you. Thanks for changing your name. Hi again, Catherine. Some people were with me, as you all know. I teach the basic math class in the morning, and some people have been with me for many hours already. And then I get to see you again. So a couple of you, 2 or 3 of you have answered in the chat. So go to the chat, everyone, and give me a little hello. I'm here. By the way, it's fine if you say your name, but just so you know, when you write something, I see who it's from, right? So I see that Andrea said, Andrea is here. So you can just say hello, and I'll see that Suzanne now just said I'm here, and I can see it's Suzanne, and you guys can probably see that too. So there's no need to state your name, but you're welcome to, by the way. Just, I need some show of life in the chat so that later that gets recorded. All right. Same with the roster, the name that shows up in the bottom of the your video name has to have ideally the name you want me to call you and your last name. The last name so that the roster then matches, and the one I wanted to call you because I'll look at this and I'll say Mimi instead of Mia, or the roster name, which isn't even one of those two. I'm actually looking for a second here at my phone. Remember that in this class, we're going to try to connect also with what you have on your phone or your iPads. So if you have your phones or your iPads out there somewhere lurking in the house, go get them and bring them back. And here we go. All right. So I upgraded my system since last class, as I said I would. And so now I have Big Sur, which is not the latest Monterey, but I used to be on Catalina. And between Catalina and Big Sur, the interface of photos changed a bit. And you'll have to tell me if when I'm showing you a Big Sur, if it changed a lot of Monterey. I don't think from Big Sur to Monterey, the interface changed too much, but it did change between Catalina and Monterey. So just as a show of reminding who's in class and what's in class, can you tell me what your OS is? And if you don't remember what your OS is, go up to your Apple icon and click on About This Mac, and then it'll tell you if you're in, Big Sur, Monterey, Catalina, Mojave, Yosemite, whatever it is that you're in, and then type it in there so that I have an idea of where everyone's is. So just to be clear, what I just shared was this little window is the one I'm talking about. And you get this window by going to the Apple icon and then saying About This Mac. And the first thing you'll see is this. Now, some of you who are in my last class might still be in this message. You can go back to overview because I was just using that in last class in that mode. So in overview, you'll see your OS, and then type it in the chat so that I have an idea of what we have here. So we have Monterey, Catalina, Catalina and Big Sur. Okay, so if you have anything other than Big Sur or Monterey, I need to know anything that's older, other than Catalina, Big Sur, and Monterey. So if you have anything older, we have some people who have older computers in my class. There was, oh, someone from that class who wanted to get into this one. Doug, Mimi said Doug wanted, Mimi, you said Doug wanted to get into this class, or Doug said he was interested in getting to the photos class, but he isn't registered yet, so I haven't given him the link. But can you email him the link and he can attend right now, but then he has to sign up later?
Yes.
And he can join us. Now he does have an older computer, so his photos will be a bit different, but that's fine. That's what I need to know. So Doug was in the class that I just taught and he wanted to get into the class, so he hasn't had time to register yet, but Mimi knows him and so she can send him the link. All right, so a lot of people, God, my other class is packed to the gills, and this one, a lot of people signed up and then said, oh, I can't take it, I'm busy or whatever. So they never showed up. And so in fact, we don't have that many people in this class. So if anyone wants to invite anyone who, I mean, I'm fine with having a small class, I don't mind, but I don't like it when people sign up and then take a spot for people who are trying to sign up. This didn't happen here. This one never really got overly full. So whoever's here is fine, but I'm going to drop them from the roster this week. It's the second week and they're not here. So if you know of anyone who wasn't here, that just didn't come, I started my other class with this. So let me remind you guys here, I've been getting more than usual. I haven't said this in class yet, so I'm not surprised, but I'm getting a lot of emails saying, oh, I can't make it today, so I'll watch the recording, right? So if you just heard that from the class before, I need to say it again to the people who are in this class. That's not a reasonable alternative. Meaning, if you can't make it, like truly can't make it, you're in the hospital, of course you can't watch it, you miss the class. But if you have an appointment, or someone called you, hey, can we go out for a walk or something, and I'll just watch the recording, that doesn't work for this class. Why? Because the only way that this class is free for you guys is because the school is getting paid by the government, and they only pay for classes have a certain amount of people and what they call participating, or what they call butts on seats. Now, of course, we're not in our own classroom, but it's basically who attends the classroom. So if you're just registered and you watch the recordings, I cannot give you attendance. So we don't get money for that. So you have to be in the class. Now, the slight workaround is that because this is online and I am recording the class, then if you are going to watch the recording and you popped into the class at some point, then you get registered as having been here. And I am happy then to, with your assurance that you've watched the recording, to give you a check mark for attendance. But I can't just say you attended because you watched the recording. That's not allowed. So if you have an appointment, you have to go see someone. Someone came into town to visit that you definitely don't want to miss. You haven't seen in so much long. That's fine. I get it. If possible, connect to Zoom, pop in and pop out. Like if you're on the go in your phone, you can download the Zoom app and you can click on the link, and you don't even need to download the Zoom app. Just click on the link and it'll do it on the web. You show up to class a little bit, maybe half an hour, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 2 hours, right? But do the portion that you can while you, and so if you're traveling, you can still show up for the class for as long as you're hanging out. Now, if you're in the midst of a tour, of course, you don't want to tap in. So there's situations where, but don't think that you can just watch the recording instead of showing up, because then the class then doesn't have enough people. When there's not enough people, they don't offer it again, and so on and so forth. So especially when there's only a few of you guys, like in this class, we need participation to have that minimum number. Otherwise, then they go, oh, the iLife class, no one comes to it. We just won't offer it again, right? So anyway, I've said my say. You're welcome to leave early or show up late or show up for just a portion in the middle. As long as then you catch up for the rest of it, then I can give you full attendance. All right. Cool. Oh, I sent the email, Mimi. Don't you have an email from me from this morning when I sent that around 12:30? I sent an email to all the classes. Otherwise, here, let me copy the link. I can put it in here. So that's the link for today's class. So you can go and click on the chat. You have a little 3 little dots by the chat and copy that link and then email it to him. I know that a lot of what I just said is not applies to you because you guys are in class, and this will go for the people who then watch the recording, or I'm going to email people and remind them that they need to be here. But I had to say it so that it stays in your thought process when later you're going to come or not come to class. In the past, I used to say this automatically, and I've stopped saying it because so many of you have taken the classes before, but there's still people who forget that attendance is mandatory. All right. So hi. Let's do the fun stuff now, which is photos. If you haven't yet told me what your OS is, some of you showed up a little bit later. I need to know what operating system you have on your computer to have an idea of what kind of photos version that you are dealing with. Why? Because each operating system updates the photos version. So if you have Yosemite, you have a version of photos that is different than if you have Monterey, than if you have Catalina, than if you have Big Sur. So it's not like you can all have the latest photos version if you don't have the latest OS. They kind of come hand in hand. You know what I mean? So you can't upgrade one beyond what your other one is. So that's why I need to know what your operating system is. Of the people who answered, everyone seems to be either Catalina, Big Sur, or Monterey. I haven't heard anything other than that yet. So if you have something other than that, then I definitely need to know. If it's those 3, then when I show things and you go, oh, that's not on mine, it looks different, then please overtly speak up, because now I'm in Big Sur. And so it's different. If you're in Catalina, there are some things that show up differently. So you need to tell me, where would I find it if this were Catalina? Or where would I find this if this is Monterey, right? So that it doesn't change too much, but it changes enough that that I need to know. All right. So cool. I didn't email you this. I did say I would, and I didn't. That I was going to tell you that for homework, you had to begin selecting some photos to work on. But I also told you I hadn't taught you how to do albums to put those photos in. So if you already knew how to do it, then hopefully you did some of that work. If not, today I'm going to show you how to create an album with photos that you want to work on, so that when we get to the portion of class, when you're beginning to edit some photos and work on them, you already have them selected from all of your thousands of photos, okay, to work on them. So hopefully some of you are beginning on that work. Other than that, we're going to keep getting you to know how to do that so that you can do that when we get to the, I'm sorry, I can't speak and write at the same time. I write down what homework I assign to you guys, and I was just writing that one to remember to send you an email about that. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. This Photos app that I have right now is, since I just updated and I did a clean install, so all the settings are brand new. My Photos app is set up without any of the goodies that I will teach you how to add. Some of you have taken this class before, or you've already opted for some of these little things that you need to view. So your Photos app might look quite different than mine, but I'm going to be telling you what to turn on, what to choices to be, so that hopefully by the time I'm done, everyone sees the photos the same way. So I have my only limitation, since this is a new computer, I don't have that many photos. I have, if I scroll all the way to the bottom, I have 270 photos, which for a photos library is very little, right? Most of you guys kind of run into the thousands. So how do you see that number? Click here on the word library. And then on the top, you need to be in all photos. Now I see years, months, days in all photos, but some of you guys, if this window is small, you might just see it like that, where you need to go to years, days, month, and photos. It depends on how big your window is. Since my window is small, I have to go all photos that way. If I expand my window and make it bigger, see how then I see all of them? So that'll depend on how big or small, thin or wide your window is. But be in all photos and in library, and then scroll to the very bottom, and there you'll see how many photos and videos you have. And I'm expecting to see anything from 1,000 to 10,000, 20,000. I mean, who knows how many photos you have in there, right? So if you want to write some of those numbers in the chat. Suzanne, you mentioned you have an iPad mini. So do you also have a Mac or a laptop, or only an iPad for this class? Just to know.
No, I'm working on my my MacBook Pro.
On your MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And I'm just saying, because if you have an iPad, you can use it just to work on the Photos app like I have, or you can also use it as a sidecar, like as a second monitor. But then you wouldn't be able to use it for the Photos app itself. So in this case, it's good to have it for the Photos app. All right, so someone's saying 76,000 photos. That makes sense. Depending on how many years you've been using it or taking photos, you can have a lot of photos in it. The reason I'm asking is because I'm showing you on this new computer that I set up, and I just brought in some sample photos. Some of the things that I'm going to show you won't work as well, because this Photos apps really likes to go through a lot of apps to be able to decide, a lot of photos, I'm sorry, to be able to decide things. So when I go and try to find people, it's not going to maybe find as many on 200 photos as it would find. Even though I have a lot of people in it, it won't be able to recognize people because there's not enough samples. There might be only 2 photos of one person. And in order to really recognize a person, they might want maybe 100 photos of that person, right? Over the years. So then it'll work better. So when I have to show you things that need that kind of information, I'm going to ask someone who has a big library maybe to share their screen so that you guys can see that in action at its best. You know what I mean? Because 200 photos is not enough of a sampling for the artificial intelligence that this program uses to actually work. So when somebody says like Tracy or Andrea, that you're saying, you know, thousands and thousands of photos, but then you say, and 300 videos or 1,400 videos, just so you know, it's those videos like Tracy who says 1,400 videos that are, if at all your computer is full and sluggish, it's those videos, okay? 1,400 videos. If they are just a 1-second video, it's one thing, but they are 20 seconds or 40 seconds or even, God forgive, 3 minutes, that probably is totally bogging your computer down. I don't know. It's just depending. Maybe you have a computer dedicated with a big hard drive just to that, and then this works. But videos is each second of a video is the equivalent of, depending on the frame rate, you know, 29 photos, 72 photos, it depends on the frame rate you've taken in, but it's each second of a video is equivalent to many, many, many photos. So if you have a 5-second video, suddenly it's worth hundreds of photos. So if you ever have a full computer, the best thing you can do is review your videos and get rid of any videos that are truly unnecessary, or, you know, but many times your videos are the spice of your life. So I'm not saying you have to get rid of them. I'm just saying it's important not to have, you know, hours. Like if you're taking a video of something, when you take a video, don't just like record for 5 minutes, just maybe record, stop, record, stop, record, stop. So maybe you have many 1-minute videos that then you can delete the in-between ones if there is nothing happening, versus to have a 5-minute video where in the middle, 2 minutes, nothing happens. You know what I mean? Because then that's a lot of file.
But
And
Deanna, may I ask a quick question? So, you know, just on my iCloud, I have 3,000 photos. What about, you know, from my regular camera that I have on an external hard drive?
So you can,
that's where the majority, that's my thousands and thousands and thousands.
Yeah. So, but you still have them on a separate drive and you're not seeing them through photos, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. If all you've done is take photos with your phone from forever, since you've had an iPhone, then all those photos technically are in your Photos app. Now, If you've had it from way before when it was the iPhotos app, some people, it used to be the iPhotos app. It could be that you left some behind and you started a new Photos app, or it could be that you just transferred that into Photos and you keep having all your old ones in this new one. It depends. That depends on what you did at that point when I wasn't around to suggest what you should do, in which case you have some photos in that old one, some photos in the new one. But then there's the third possibility that Andrea is talking about, which is, what about photos I don't take with my phone? So how many of you guys are in that situation? Give me a yes. That way that Mimi's raised hand doesn't disappear. If you have photos that you take on other devices, a different camera, and you want to know what to do with those. So meanwhile, you're answering yes. Let me get, Mimi, is it a question about the link for Doug? I can't hear you.
My screen doesn't look like your screen for photos. I don't know how to get
Oh.
that panel on the left side.
Okay, so we'll get that to a minute, but one of the things that might be happening is that your window might be too small like that, in which
Yeah.
case that panel on the side disappeared.
Oh,
So
okay.
try making it wider. That's
Okay.
just a quick possibility. Did that work? Did that help you? Did you get your panel on the side? Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, she had her hand up for a while and I just want to make sure that I could get to that now. Back to the question that Andrea had about photos from the outside. Now, Ed isn't raising his hand, but he did write that he has, 800,000 photos from, I'm assuming when you say 1,000, you're talking about photos and film, right? Not like gigabytes or anything. From film, photos, cameras, videos, cameras, right? So there's quite a few of you guys are in my Photoshop classes that maybe you're photographers, like it's the thing you do. Or Andrea, who maybe also for work, you need to take a lot of photos of things. I don't know. For whatever reason, you have a ton of photos in another device. It's your choice. If they come from another device, whether you want to incorporate them into the Photos app or handle them separately. They won't automatically be in the Photos app. The only photos that are automatically in the Photos app are if you took them on the phone or on your iPad. You know how some people take photos with your iPad. Now, on the other hand, if you've taken them, here's what I do. When I take photos with another camera, if this is something that's a professional set, a professional shoot, something that I'm going to use with a client, something I'm going to use for a website, something like that, that I will be using Photoshop with and stuff like that, I won't bring them into the Photos app. Okay. Just because lately, actually, I brought a lot of stuff from my husband's pottery this last year, but I had to take so many raw photos for that. It just came really bloated. And I decided to work on that on a different app. I teach also how to use Photoshop and Bridge and Lightroom, all that kind of stuff. So I decided to keep those separate and work with them in somewhere else. That said, I could have brought them in which case you need to import them. If you bring them in and you import them, then they become part of this Photos library. The only negative is that this Photos app has all of the photos held in one file. So this one file that holds all your photos can be 2 gigabytes big or 20 gigabytes big or 200 gigabytes big. And when you bring the bazillions of photos and videos that you actually have professionally, it could become so big that it could become kind of unwieldy for your computer to handle, right? So just for those of you who have a lot of that stuff, here's the way I make my decision. All my iPhone photos, of course, automatically get in here because I don't take professional photos with my iPhone, and all my trip, travel, hanging out with my kids, all of that I take with my iPhone. But if I also brought my camera with me, my actual separate camera with me, and I took photos of a trip, then any of the photos that are part of our just trip, like vacation photos, I bring them into the Photos app as well. And I only leave outside the photos that are going to be, used, as I said, professionally. So many times I bring my good camera on my trips, and I just happen to have good photos of my kids in the snow or something. But I also might have photos of landscapes or of the texture of a bark or something like that, that I might later want to use professionally. I happen to take with the same camera, so I can pick and choose what I bring in, right? So that's just my choice. You get to choose. I'll show you how, for those of you who have photos from a different place, how you can bring them into the Photos app, right? but I don't recommend, like, I know Andrea works with properties or property management or property sales. I'm not sure, but something about properties. I don't recommend you take every photo of properties that you've ever taken and bring them into your Photos app. Unless what you do is use your Photos app to manage all those photos about your old properties, and you make albums of each, you know, how when you sell a property, you have to take photos of every room, the surroundings, the street, the whatever, and you make an album with the name of that property. And then that's good. It's really easy to handle photos that way here in the Photos app. So then you make a choice and you go, yeah, I will bring in all these photos because I can handle them and send them and use them really easily from here. And these are not photos that need to go the whole professional route of Photoshop, right? So again, that's a very long answer, but it depends on your needs for the photos and your choice. This Photos app allows you to organize, categorize, later find things easily. So you can choose to use them for business or for pleasure, or mix them up. And in your own here computer, you'll be able to divide them and say, these are, you know, personal photos and these are business photos. So that's a really good way to go. Now, I use photos professionally, and I take raw photos, and I use like photos that I would only use for a brochure or something like that, that I would not need to use in here. So then I wouldn't be putting them in here. But this, for example, is a photo shoot I did of my husband's pottery. And here's one of the setups I did for it. And I did bring him in here, right? So we'll find a way to separate personal from business in here, and we're gonna work on that. How you would bring all those other photos instead of them popping in automatically would be you would have to import them. Okay, so I'm gonna get to the place when I show you where I show you how photos get in, and I can show you how to import them. All right, that 5 to 10 minute answer, did that answer your question, Andrea, or were you asking something totally different that I over answered?
No, that totally answered it.
By the way, I would have talked about this anyway. It so happened that it came out of an answer to her question. Don't think that every time you ask me something, I'm going to go off for 20 minutes on an explanation. This is part of what I was going to teach today. What are these photos we have and where do they come from? We started talking about the cloud last week. That's where some photos come from your phone, from your iPad, from the cloud, and we still need to handle the settings, the other places from your other devices. Okay. Now I'm going to clear your answers. And I think, because I think 3 of you guys, right? So Vera, Ed, Carol, and Andrea, you're the ones who said you shoot in other devices. Did I miss anyone else who said they do? Sarah also? You shoot photos in other devices. So it's like 5 of you guys.
No, me. I
Oh, Leon.
wrote Canon 770.
Okay, so go ahead and raise your hands again. All of those of you who shoot photos in other devices other than your phone, just do a little raised hand at this point, or a yes, so that I can see you guys. Actually, a raised hand instead of a yes. I had told you yes before. Go ahead and raise your hands. That way you all kind of pop up to the top for a minute. All right. So
I'm not seeing those options at the bottom. I have invite or mute me. I don't see those options for hands or check marks. Sorry.
okay, so on the far right of all those choices of participants in chat and share and whatnot, at the very far right, you should see a little smiley face that says emoticon, or it says reactions.
Okay.
Click on reactions, and the bottommost choice is the raised hand. Some of you guys did a thumbs up. That doesn't stay. It needs to be the raised hand. Okay, good. So now you guys can see how all the people who raised their hands kind of went to the top of the screen if you're seeing the gallery at all. Vera, you still have a yes, so you're not at the top of the screen. The raised hand pushes you up to the top, on top of everything. So that's why if you have a question and you raise your hand, it pushes you to the top left, and then I answer in order of whoever answered, raised their hand first, right? Right now I had you, this isn't really a question. This is just meaning, this isn't I have a question. This is a me telling you raise your hand, so you all pop on top. Okay, so that's Sarah, Carol, Andrea, Catherine, Leon, and Ed. So that's a big chunk of people who are here, given that many others have their second computers. About almost half of you guys shoot in a different device. So I'm going to go ahead and show you. That's why I needed to know if it was 1 or 2, I would show you indirectly. But if it's many of you guys, I'm going to share my entire screen instead of this little bit of my screen. because when you do have photos in other devices, so this is only for those of you who have photos from other devices that are not part of the cloud, then you have to, and you decide that you want to bring them into photos. I told you how I make my choices. You can make the opposite choice. Have this be all for your professional photos. You have to actually import them. So you would go up to the top. Okay, so I'm going to move this up here. You would go up and get the spotlight. Here we go. And let me move this out of the way. So you would go up here to File, Import. So we're not going to, I'm just showing you this. I'm not going to do it right now, but just showing you would go File, Import. And then here you'd have to go find those, right? So if like in another hard drive, like say what Andrea's question was, you have all those photos on the hard drive, you'd go to that other hard drive and you'd go find some photos from there and you'd select the folder of wherever those photos are, or something like that. And then you would say review for import and you would by hand import them in, okay? I'm actually going to cancel that choice because I'm not going to import any photos. That would be how you would import them and then they become part of your photos library. But here's the catch. Then you have them twice. For better or for worse, some of you guys are fine having them twice, but this does not suck them in from that place and take them out of that place. This just adds a copy in here. So that original place still has all those photos and now you have them in here as well. So if you're just importing photos, that's one thing. If you're importing, 400 videos, now you have 400 videos times 2. So be aware that anything that you import this way stays in the other place as well. So you have two choices. Leave it in the other place as well because it's your backup, or once you've imported them here, then go back to the other place and delete them, right? So that you don't have, then you go, oh God, I just worked on that wedding picture, but was it in here or in there? Which is the newest one? It's this one is the newest one or that's the newest one? You know what I mean? So you want to not have like the same photo in 2 different places that you work on in different places. What you want is then to back up your hard drive and have what you work on be backed up. And so you always have everything at the same level. Otherwise, people show up years later going, well, I have this photo in 5 different places and I don't know which one is the best one or the latest one or the newest one. So you want to avoid importing photos, leaving them in the other place and then working on them separately. That's where you run into trouble. If you work on them and then back them up, you can have them in 2, 3 places. That's ideal, but they should always be based off of one place where you work on them, so that then that if you worked on this wedding photo to make the portrait of the bride really nice, then where you see that bride portrait in the other place, it's a backup, it's the same one you worked on. And versus if you go back to the original one, it's still the photo that hasn't been worked on. So then
do
it
you
can get really
recommend
confusing.
do you recommend having like finished photo file, like a folder you stick them in so you know what you've edited and changed? Or
no, this you said you didn't say that you bring in photos for another device, so you will not have that problem. I will handle it out on side of photos. I'll talk about that.
I do screenshots and then edit them and bring them in that way.
Hold on. We'll talk about that. That's different. This is more like original photos created in a different device, like in a different camera, a Canon, a Nikon, a Panasonic, whatever, some other camera device, even a scan where you created it somewhere else and you brought it in. Okay, so that's the only thing I'm referring to. And I'm going to assume that everyone who said that has an understanding of file management and would know how to handle this. And if you don't, then that's the conversation for my Mac class, the one I do ahead of this one, where I talk about file management. Like, what do you do with those files once they've been here or there or everywhere? Versus, so in this class, we're just talking about the photos that do come into the Photos app and how do we then organize them in here? Have they been edited or not? Like Catherine's question, that we'll handle right now. But the files that are in here are all sucked up into one big file called the Photos library. And if you have 200 photos in there or 2,000 photos or 20,000 photos in there, it is one file called the Photos library that can be small or big depending on how much stuff you put in it. Okay. And that one file is what we're seeing right here, all these photos that we're seeing right there. All right, so I know that some of you guys I asked you to raise your hand, but some of you guys have actually questions. So I'm going to clear all your feedback for those of you who said you came to things from devices. Now I'm going to leave the raised hand effect for people who have questions and who want to raise your hand again, and then I can answer questions. But That said, I don't want to answer too many advanced questions about these extra photos on other devices before I go to the basics of the photos that you already have. Okay, so if it's stuff that doesn't apply to the entire class, at this point, I might begin to give the answers a pass. So yeah, Sarah, you need to unmute yourself. You're muted.
Okay, oops. I'll do that.
I can hear you now. Yeah,
Sorry.
that's fine. I can hear you.
Oh, you can? Okay. I have very few photos on my Mac that I want to mess around with. And most of my photos I took with a digital camera, and then they're on my old PC, which I'm sort of using as a hard drive.
Mhm.
So is it possible then to, I don't need to know how, but is it possible to bring those photos over to the
Yeah, totally. But the thing is that you can't use a computer as a hard drive. I mean, you can for storing, but you can't use it as a hard drive for transferring. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to grab a hard drive or a flash drive or, you know, a
Okay.
USB
got it?
from your PC, put them in there.
Yeah.
And then plug it into the Mac and then you import them the way I just showed you. So if you want to just try that with a few photos, and I'll show you how to do it with a few. And then when you're comfy, you can do it with all your photos.
Okay, great.
Right. But you
Thank
can't, like, Mac doesn't connect to PC directly to bring this stuff in.
Right, okay.
All right. So yeah, great question. All right, Suzanne.
Yeah, I've been downloading videos from a service that digitizes home movies.
Mhm.
And I've been bringing them into my computer to download them and then moving them right onto a hard drive.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming you'll probably talk about this more, but my question is an import different than a download?
Yeah, so it's a good question. When you download something from the internet, like they digitize your stuff and they deliver it to you through the internet. So you download it and it downloads somewhere into your computer, into your hard drive, right?
Mhm.
So if you, technically by default, they ended up in your downloads folder, right?
Right.
And so you can create a folder called digitized movies and move them into your documents folder, for example. They live there. That's it. You can't see them through the Photos app. They just live as a file. That's it. Now, if you want to see them through the Photos app, then you need to import them into the Photos app, because I'm trying to find the simile. Usually I have good similes, but in this case, I'm trying to think of something that makes it very clear. Basically, imagine your house, right? Say that a store, Target or Costco or some whatever you go do your shopping, Albertsons, is the internet. You purchase a bunch of stuff and you bring them into your house, right? And so and that's the internet. You download them, you bring them into the house, right? So they're sitting in your doorway, in your hallway, whatever. You open your door and you dump all the stuff in there, and then each one of those rooms in your house, some of that stuff has to go somewhere. So if some of those videos have to go into your room where you put videos, you have to then bring them straight into that app. And that's kind of like importing them so that they're now usable only in that app. The place where the simile breaks down is that in the case of the other stuff, you just organize them into the other rooms and they disappear from your front door. Butter goes into the butter, the shoes go into the closet, and they're not on the front door anymore. They're gone. But when you put things into the Photos app, they stay in both places. They get copied. Okay. So then you would have the video that was in the downloads, and now that same video is in your Photos app. So if you do that, then you need to remember to go back to the downloads and delete it from the downloads so that you only have it one time. And you don't have it just filling up your computer twice. Does that make sense? So the Photos app operates a bit differently. We're not organizing photos and files like we would in the Finder. By sucking them into the Photos app, they become the place where you have them, and the others are a duplicate. And then you end up having doubles. This morning, whatever, both of these classes are in the afternoon. The one that starts at 12 is also the afternoon, but the morning class, the earlier class, the math class, someone had 2 or 3 videos of the same thing in different places. So we kind of went to find which one and just keep one of them, right? So you don't want to start having a ton of those photos repeated 2 or even 3 times in your same computer. So you need to choose, handle them outside of the Photos app, or handle them inside the Photos app, but not have them 2 times. Okay.
But as far as the download itself, which it's in the downloads folder under Finder, I have to actually import it in order to get it into the Photos app.
Yeah, you can import
Okay.
it, or you can just, let me just really quickly show you. You can either import it, like I said, file, import, and all that kind of stuff, or, and I'm going to go open up in the Finder. So you go to your downloads here and say that you have something that you want to bring in here. It's actually also as simple as, I don't have any photos here. So let me go in to see if I have any here. This is a screenshot, and a screenshot is a photo image. So I can either go up to file, import, go and bring in, which is great if you do that for an entire photo folder of, 2000 photos. Or if I just want to import this shot, I can just drag it down here to the Photos app right there, let go, and it imports. Okay. So then that for that one photo, that's a better way to go. And it was a screenshot. And if I just imported it, so let me just do that. I'm going to just drag it in here, drop it in Photos, and there it is. It's importing, right? And now it came in. All right. Now it went in by date. So if I go to imports, there it is. It just got imported. But the photo itself, if you look at the date, is from July 2021. So here in the library, I would have to scroll over to July 2021 to find it, right? So we'll talk about that right now, where you'll find them. But you for sure will find them under imports. This is the photo that I just imported on February 9th at 5:11 p.m. Right? And how did I import it? By just grabbing it here and dragging it into the little icon. So for a video you just received, you do that, and then you're done. You don't need it here anymore. You delete it from here.
From the download.
Got it?
Yeah.
You delete it from
Okay.
your downloads.
Okay.
So that's the quick way. And there's this word that if you don't see the word imports there, it's because you never imported anything. So it's empty. The moment you import something, it appears. And then from then on, you'll have this imports word. So if you don't see the imports word there, it's because anything you don't see here that I have, it's because you don't have it. The moment you have it, you will see it. So if you've never deleted anything, you won't have a recently deleted, right? It's when you delete something that this appears. So all of these are called contextual menus, and they appear as needed or as available. So yeah, if you want to test it, if you are comfortable with this, we're going to work on side of the Photos app, but if you're comfortable with this and you know of any part of your computer that has a photo somewhere, drag that one photo into this little icon of Photos, or you can also do this. You can right click and can you move it? I don't know. I thought maybe there might be a move to photos in here. It's not, maybe because it's a PG. Let me see if maybe in my documents I have a JPEG. I have no idea what this is. I'm going to just test it. I think I have some JPEGs in here. Here's a JPEG. If I right click, does it say move into Photos? No, I was just wondering if there was a quick move to Photos. No, so the best way is to just drag it and put it in there. I let go. Oh yeah, because these are not here. They're in my cloud. Never mind.
Diana,
Yes.
if you go up to the share menu at the top, so the square box with a thing, you should find, oh yeah, you need to go down to more.
To put it in the Photos.
And it should give you, if you go through that menu choice, one of them should be put it in.
It says add to Photos. Yeah.
Right. So you can do it from.
Maybe as a share file, and it says where to share it from. It's just that this one is not downloaded yet. It's up in online. It's
Okay.
long
Oh
story,
yeah,
but yeah,
it's
that's why
yeah,
I have
it's not
this
actually
one. These
there.
work. Yeah. Yeah, but you could, if this one is here, I guess I could add to Photos. Okay, so for a photo that's in my computer, I could select it and then share, which is this icon. Thank you for pointing that out, Ed. And then add to Photos right there. So if you don't like dragging, say do it if this to that is hard to do, then just select it and click on this little share icon and say add to Photos. Boom. So now there you go. I've shared 1, 2, 3, which are these 3 screenshots. I have shared them into my Photos app. They don't look like photos, of course, but they're screenshots. So they still had, and each one has been its own import. Now, they are all taken in July 1st and July 6th of 2021. So when I go back to read my library photos, they don't pop in automatically anywhere here. I would have to go find them by date, and I can do that over here and find them by date and stuff like that. Okay. They're probably, did they show up under screenshots? I don't know. I'll show you this in a second, but yeah, there they are in screenshots. Okay. I'll show you this in a minute. I don't want to go ahead of myself, but thank you for that. I wasn't aware that you could do that. So I have learned something today. That's so cool when you guys show me something that I didn't know. So sharing, selecting and sharing gives you the choice to add to photos. Cool. Very cool. All right. Now that works, as I said, for 1 or 2 photos or something you just downloaded, like my sister sent me a cute picture of my niece. I want to add that to my Photos app, but I don't know. My sister also sent me a photo of the dinner she had last night. I don't care about that one, right? So you pick and choose what you want to keep, right? But if you have hundreds of photos that you might have in other hard drives or in other computers, then it's easier to just do a big import and then just select a folder and bring in the whole folder. All right, Yolanda. I can't hear you. Your sound is up. Yeah, there we go.
About the import, thanks for saying that we can drag, like I want a picture on a text message that was sent to me to go to my photo gallery, and I was able to do that by dragging. So
You
it's
can,
okay.
yeah.
But
yeah. Or
my question is actually,
let me just say one more second. Hold on. Let me just speak to that for 1 second. My Photos app, my messages isn't set up yet because, as I said, I just opened this computer. But if you have a message and you're looking at it through the computer, those of you who use your messages app, your text app on your computer, you can just right click on that photo and directly there, yes, add that one to your photos straight from there. Just you don't even need to drag it. You can add it from the message app. I just wanted to speak to that, but you had a different question. So yeah.
so every time I click on the photos, something will come up that says unable to upload, and it's very old, but I am bothered by, I kept on ignoring it. But what if those pictures were of sentimental value to me and they were dated March 2006, and then there is a word that says view, so I click on the view and nothing, of course not, they're all blank, but it just,
I'm concerned because remember that last time you shared your computer, it was so full and that's why it wasn't bringing in new photos. So I'm wondering if that's what's stopping it. Remember that it said you need to make more space in your computer in order to keep uploading. Wasn't it you last week who had that?
yeah, I did. I asked you also helped me on that, but these 8 photos still keep on popping and popping.
So go ahead and share your screen, because then it might be a different situation. Go ahead and share your screen. Now, guys, I want to harken back to the conversation we had last week. So meanwhile, open your system preferences and on your phones, get your settings ready, because I want to check in with you how it went with the whole iCloud settings and photos and stuff like that. So now let me see this folder. I'm looking at it. Your Photos app is telling you unable to upload. And do you know where they came from?
No, it's everything is blank to me. This is all I can see. Unable to upload. Date is March 2006.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if I should click on the showing all items.
No, it doesn't make any difference. It says that it's showing everything. Make your window a little bit wider towards the left so that you can see the sidebar, by the way, to make it a bit easier. So go to the left. Yeah, so see how that sidebar. So you had unable to upload, something you tried to upload and it's not working. And I don't know if it's because the files are not, like, they're corrupted, like where they came from. I do not know. And basically the Photos app is telling you, I can't handle these for some reason. So you need to go find where they came from. Do you remember where you were adding them from?
No, not really. They're just like this, and I just, because it it's not like a matter of life and death, so I just kept on ignoring and
Got
ignoring.
it. So you've had them there for a while. Yeah. So what you can do on your computer is you can do a search for one of these numbers like P32400019. You can go to the spotlight search on your computer and see if it can find them somewhere in your computer, and you can find what photo it is. Maybe you can't upload them because at some point you deleted them and so they got left in limbo and they're not there anymore, or you moved them to a different folder in the midst of processing and so suddenly they're not found. There's all these different reasons why they can't be uploaded. So my best suggestion would be to copy down one of these numbers, then go to the computer search, not to the photo search. Like up there where you see a little icon for the magnifying glass next to your name. You see what I mean?
Next to
So up at the very top, yeah, not this, yeah, that one. If you click on there, that's your computer search, right? So if you click on there and then you type P32, go ahead and click.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna dictate you a number, P32. I'll dictate it, just start writing.
Okay.
The question is
32.
P32500046. 50046. Okay, so now there it's, and you might want to add .jpeg or something just because that's the full name. Let me see if you got it right. 50046. It would have to be .jpeg. Otherwise, take the JPEG off. It doesn't matter. That go backwards. Tap 3 times to delete the JPEG.
Type.
Tap your delete. Tap delete, delete, delete to take the JPEG out. Now, this is not found anywhere on your computer according to Spotlight. Notice that at first, when we were writing P325, photos were coming up. This one doesn't. So somehow it is not in your computer according to your computer search. But now start deleting backwards. Delete the 6, then delete the 4, then the 0, and then stop for a minute. Okay. See how, go to 0, type the 0, 0, and over there, right underneath, stop.
Oh.
This one was found and it's a similar enough number, right? So maybe near this one, you might have the rest of those. So you can go to show and finder now, where at the bottom of this, go down to the move your mouse down, and under where it says currency convert, then it says show and find. No, inside of the same window you had. So go back to that window. Now that you minimize this one, minimize this that you're showing me. Yeah, it's underneath. Go back to the Spotlight, click on Spotlight again. Click on the, yeah, there it is. Now, in that Spotlight window, see what's selected that says P35 in the Spotlight window? Yes, right there. Move your mouse up 1 inch and it'll say show all in Finder. No, in there. Yeah, now down there. Click on that. It's going to show you that photo in the Finder. Right? Not this one. It's not finding it. Go up to that P3250 again. Up, one down. The image. Yeah, I'm trying to have it find that one. Go ahead and double click on it, on the word images. Yeah, just trying to find it. Like, so it's going to open in preview. And now go up to the file name at the top.
File name at the top, right here.
P3250, no, right at the top of this window. Right, move to the right, Yeah, there. No, you're almost in the middle. Yeah, there. See the number? Yeah, right click. Right click on that number. Go to the number. Yeah, right click right to the P325. You might have Zoom windows in your way or something, but right above where your mouse is the number. So you might need to drag this down a bit because sometimes you don't see it.
Oh, I see.
There it is. Okay, right click. There. That's showing you the path. It's showing you that this photo is inside of Madress RGS, which is inside of email to, which is inside of sort, which is inside your desktop. Right? So maybe in that folder, click on Madress there, and let's see if in that folder, that's the best you can do, and see if any of these
Oh my God.
So you have a ton of photos in different spots, and then you can try to find it, Anyway, so that's as good as it gets. If not, the computer didn't find the number that you typed. So maybe it's been deleted from your computer, and that's why it can't find it anymore to upload it.
Right.
The Spotlight didn't find it.
Thank you so much. The
You're
other thing
welcome.
I realize whenever my computer update is that a lot of get lost or rewind, and the dates are all mixed up. Like a 1970 becomes a 1991. Everything is messed up. Everything, and I just don't want to complain to anybody. I just let it go.
I'm a little bit. I'm going to help. I'm going to keep helping now with the Photos app, but I'm a little bit confused because that kind of stuff of photos changing their dates and stuff, that's not a typical thing that happens with updates. So if something like that happens and you're aware, you definitely should call Apple and find out. That kind of data stays with the photo, like when the photo was taken. And so if a photo is from 1970, it suddenly says now it's been taken in 1990.
Completely very wacko, and I don't want to. I know at the time shared with my children, but I don't think my children, he's the physicist, he will not do that deliberately. So I just keep quiet for now, and maybe the time will come and I can see.
All right, so I'm gonna head into the photos that are in the Photos app and see what's up. The thing is that you have a ton of photos outside of the Photos app, which are these that we were just looking at. So,
thank you again.
All those photos are probably filling up your screen, and you need to decide if you want them in those folders. If you have them there, bring them into the Photos app and then just delete them from those folders. And then here, they're easy to handle. The summary of everything that I've been talking about right now, about the others to import them, or even to Yolanda, is that if you want an easy way to organize all your photos, bring them all into the Photos app, because things are really easy to organize inside of the Photos app. If you have photos strewn all over your computer in many, many different folders, like we just saw Yolanda had a folder inside of a folder inside of a photo full of photos, but she has many of those. They're all just sitting there in files that are unmanageable. They're unhandleable. You know what I mean? Versus if you drag them into the Photos app or implement to the Photos app, then in here, you can organize them by time, by date, by person that's in the photos, by place they were taken, but they need to be all inside of this one app for that to work. Does that make sense? Now, you might have.
What do you mean when you say Photo app? Bring it to the Photo app.
Yeah, so if you go to that place in your download in your desktop that we just found that had those 5 photos, you drag all those 5 photos into the Photos app. But this is the important thing. Then you delete them. And maybe you're not ready to do that yet. But once you delete them, they're only in here, and then they'll pop up in here. And here it's easy to now go, oh, this belongs to this event I went to, and this one to that event, and this one to that event. And you can categorize them and find them because you see them. Versus here, you don't see them. See, you can't do anything with this. And one is in a folder, one is in another folder. They're all inside of different things. So they're not handleable. You organize them really well. You made folders for them. I can see because they were in a folder called whatever, Madres GRS, but you'll never see that photo again inside of that folder. Versus if you drag them in here, you will see that photo. So as far as a visual solution, the Photos app is a better solution. I'm noticing that I'm not sharing the Finder when I say see here, you can't see them, but you imagine what I mean. That folder inside of folders holding JPEG files is a good storage space, but is not visible to you. Versus once they're in the app, you can have 30,000 photos in here, but somehow or another, they are searchable. They are usable. I could have put the number here, P325, whatever it is that she wrote, and they would have just popped up for me, right? But most of the times we don't remember a photo by its file name. We remember it by the person that's in it or the event that happened. And that's the kind of stuff that we can do in the Photos app. We can find the wedding photos of John and Mary. We can find the dog that was called Spotty that I used to own, as long as you did some work and put that information in them, right? So that's what I'm going to be teaching you, how to how to make all these photos, make some sense out of all these hundreds and thousands of photos that you might have in here, or in my case, 247 photos that I have in here. Okay. I'll bring some more. I just set this computer up a few hours before my first class, I finished setting it up, and this is all the photos that I got in here. Betsy,
Oh dear.
Betsy, you have a question? Your hand is up. If you're talking to me,
Is there a
sound-
size, I was muted.
sorry.
Is there a size consideration for the Photos app?
Yes and no. Great question. The Photos app ends up being one huge file, right? So you can have, if you have a terabyte in your drive and your Photos app is, 400 gigabytes, fine. If you don't have much other stuff, it depends on how big your computer is.
Okay.
I decided that I had my Photos app libraries got too big because I had too much stuff in my computer. So I began dividing them, and I don't even want to go in that complication, but what I have is I have one Photos library app per year. So every year I start a new one. And so every year I have maybe 10,000 photos in them, but if I had them all together, I might have, 300,000 photos in them, and I would have find that untenable. Bad news. When I try to find something from 2 years ago, I have to go open that photo library. It's not findable here. So that's the negative of it. Now I have the bigger your computer gets, the more powerful it gets, the easier it is to join them. And I have been considering joining them into 5 years worth of photos libraries and stuff like that, so that I can at least scroll back 5 years. But I started doing this before when I didn't have such a big hard drive and I was running out of space. So depends on how much space you have, whether you want to do that or not. What
Can
I
one
do
s-
is all my old photos libraries I have on a hard drive outside of my computer, and I leave only my last 2 years handy.
Okay, I think you just answered my question I had asked, which was, can one store them on an external drive?
Yeah,
Store the library on the external drive.
yeah, because in the end, it's just a file. So yeah,
Okay,
that's what I
great.
do.
Thank you.
I've
All right.
never heard of 2 or more Photos apps.
Yeah, it's not Photos apps, not Photos app, it's Photos library. So that's why I said, for some of you, this is a bit more like, oh, what are you talking about? Because we're talking about advanced stuff. And some of you guys, this is the first time you see the Photos app. So I want to back off on that comment and say that what I just said is for people who are really, really good at file management, really, really good, have extra hard drives handy, and then backups of those hard drives, because these are my favorite special photos of my kids, right? I don't want to lose them. So I create like a divided file. I put one file somewhere else, and then I back it up 2 times so that if anything happens to them, they're safe. Then I'm happy taking it off my computer, right? So you need to be really good at all that, do a lot of file management and handling, and then you can do that. But right now, we're just going to work on one Photos library where all the photos you've ever had are all together. If you get to the point where it becomes unmanageable, because like, as Betsy said, maybe your computer is getting really slow, you have too much stuff in it, then what you can do is you can copy this one out to another library, to another disk drive, save it a bunch of times so that it's backed up in multiple places and also online. And then you can just delete all the photos of this one and start from 0 and only keep bringing in new stuff. You know what I mean? So then you've kind of split them in half, but that's plan Z. Right now, let's first plan how to handle these that we have in front of us. Okay. So I don't even want to go there and have people try it on their own and then begin to lose photos. So you need to be like really, really handy with file management before you do that kind of splitting of libraries.
Thank you, Deanna. I am not handy and I'm not going to.
I tried to say that not to offend anyone, but to warn everyone to like, let's just not go
I
do
just
something that you're not able to
You were
do yet.
saying you could put another library above memories and have 2 libraries there. That is what I took
No,
that
you
literally.
can only open, good point. You can only open one at a time. It
Okay.
would be great if you could open 2 or 3 at a time. I would love that, right? Because then I can search them. You can only open up one at a time. So if I can only look at my photos from whatever I have in here, when I want to open the other one, I can close this one and open the other one, but I can't. They're not at the same time.
Thank you, Deanna.
All right. So here I go. I have a bunch of photos in my library, as I said here, and all photos here. And now let's start figuring out what to do. As you can see, I'm scrolling up and down because I have the mouse that I can just in the middle move my finger and it scrolls up and down. You can also on your iPad put 2 fingers, and I'm using the iPad 2 fingers to scroll up and down. all of that to avoid you having to go here to this little bar and clicking and dragging this side thing, which is the least comfortable way for you to do it. So if you do not have a scroll bar in your mouse, I can't imagine every mouse that we all use, either if it's an old PC mouse with a little wheel, or if it's the magic mouse that you just do one finger, or it's your laptop in the pad where you do two fingers. Okay. So one way or another, you should be able to put your mouse over this area and then zoom over this area. And then you move that one over this area, you move this one. Okay. So if you move your mouse and your mouse is outside of the picture and you try to scroll, nothing happens. You need to have the mouse over the area that you're scrolling. Okay. When I say something that you have like zero idea, it's not working for me, please stop me. Otherwise I continue, assuming, for example, that scrolling works for everyone. I keep going on to the next thing. Now, as I said, that some of you guys showed up a little bit later, but I was asking you to tell me what version of OS you have so I can tell. But this OS that I have, which is Big Sur, looks different up on top, and here on the left, it looks a bit different than if you have Catalina. For those of you who have Monterey, how different is this looking? I don't think there's been that many changes between Monterey and Catalina, but can some Monterey person tell me if it looks very different or not up here? Monterey people? Like all these choices up here, I think Monterey and Catalina are pretty similar from what I compared, but does anyone know?
I'm looking at Monterey, on my computer, and I'm looking at yours on my iPad. And to me, they look the same.
They look the same. Yeah, that's what I thought. But I just wanted to consider because I don't have Monterey. The only big difference would be, as I said, if your window is big, you see years, month, days, photos. If your window is small, you see like a pull down. Okay, but other than that, they should be the same. On the other hand, if you're in Catalina, for example, this thing here isn't in Catalina, right? Or is it? Catalina people now, I think you don't see this, or do you?
It's in Catalina.
It's in Catalina. Okay, so what are the differences in Catalina right now? Do you have any other differences? I think maybe not too much. Where it is different is you have anything older. Like if you have Monterey, this is quite different, but no one has answered to having Monterey. Everyone has said Catalina, Big Sur, or Monterey. So that's good. So unless you have an older version, we are all on a very similar place. Okay. Now here on the left side, it says library. Before it said photos. So if anyone had Monterey, it said photos here. No one's seen that? Everyone sees the word library?
Yeah, I see library, but I see all photos in the middle.
You see all photos as well? Okay.
I have years, months.
So are you in, what are you in, Catalina?
No, I'm in Monterey.
Hmm.
But I don't
Yeah,
see.
Monterey shows library.
Yeah, library. But in
Right.
the very top middle, it says all photos.
Yeah, top middle
Right.
it says all photos. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just saying
Years
here.
and months.
But in the past, Monterey here said photos. The word library did not exist. So I'm just trying to clarify. No one sees that right now. So that's good. That means
Catalina says photos
photos right here, right? Where I'm pointing.
underneath. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
if you're in Catalina, the word here equivalent to us says library. For us, for Catalina, still says the word photos, but it does the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, there we go. So I knew there was something different. That was it. So this here says photos. Now, when I say go clear and click on library for Catalina people, let's go here and click on photos. Okay. It's the exact same thing. And what this setting does, if this is set up here in photos and this says all photos, because it's a combination of both, then what we're seeing in front of us is every single photo that has ever been imported into our computer, into our app, in order of by when it was taken. That's it. The only thing that this is in order of when it was taken.
Yes, Bob.
Okay. So I'm going to mute you. So the last photo that was taken should be down here, and the earliest photos way at the top, which if you have a ton of photos, you'd have to scroll a lot. Okay. And as you can see over here, as I scroll, the date starts appearing. Right here, it's scrolling down June 21, all the way to February 2009. I just grabbed a sampling of many different years of photos to bring in here. So here I have 2003, you know, so this photo, this is from when my kid, who is now 20 years old, was newly born. So these are from 2003, right? And they're the first photos I have here. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, this was taken in June of 2021. I took this one when I was teaching this class. These are some high, what did you call them? Slow motion and some time frame shots that I shot just for this last iLife class that I taught some months ago. So that's the last thing I have in here. Okay, so everything in between for me, since I only have 279 photos, it goes really fast. But see, as I scroll here, it's telling you not only the dates, but it's also telling you a little bit about where it was taken. So here it says in the Grapevine. Sometimes it'll say in Buenos Aires. So some of these photos are from Argentina. So that photo is from Argentina, Santa Barbara Riviera. So it might be saying locations as you go by. Santa Barbara downtown. You see that? Santa Barbara Presidio. So as you scroll, it tells you the dates and of everything you're seeing. So from this to this, I'm seeing from November 2020 to May 21, and it gives you a general idea. This is Chase Palm Park, and that's true. This is, you know, Chase Palm Park. Okay. This is in Goleta. All right. Does that work for you guys? Are you seeing that happening?
Yeah.
All right. Now, if you don't see the place, it's because your photo might have not have location information. We're going to see when does or doesn't happen, but or dates. Every photo has a date, so that doesn't change. But the locations you might or not have it depending on how you brought your information in. Okay, so basically we've established that this is in order of when it was photographed. So say that you photographed the same vacation. Like I have sometimes photos that I took from my vacation and some that my husband took from my vacation. I want to put them all together so I can sort the best ones. So I import his photos from his phone into my library, and then all of our photos mix and mingle because they are from the same time and same day. So I might have two photos of my son jumping into the water, one that I took, one that my husband took, and it's from different cameras, but it's strictly by order of him being shot, being photographed, right? So then in the midst of all of this, if I receive a photo from my sister from Argentina, why is it appearing? Where was it? One of these photos is this one. This is my sister sent it. And this one she sent in the midst of me photographing my husband's pottery there and me photographing him. She sent me this one. It was shot in that time frame, and that's why it appears there. So there's no reason, there's no reason why things, they don't always show up by theme or by anything other than by time them that were photographed. Okay. That's the setting, library and photos. Now, if you have a few photos, it's easy to scroll up and down amongst all of them. But if you have a lot of photos, it might be easier to find them with years, month, or days. Because in 250 photos, I can scroll up and down. But when you want to find a photo that you took, you know, if someone's wedding happened in 2015, it would scroll a lot to get to 2015. So you can just go maybe to years, right? And when you go to years, and it divides this into years. So I have photos from 2021, 2020, 2019, 2016. There we go, 2015, right? So I can click on 2015 and double click, and it'll now get me nearer to 2015. And then I'm seeing all the different photos of 2015. See that? So it's just makes it easier to approach. Now, if you don't know, right, what year it was, then you have to search a little bit, but it just makes it a little bit more searchable to see, to go to the years, right? There's even better and better ways to search for stuff, but I'm just showing you what the main buttons that exist already are, and then the ones that we'll create. I'm seeing a hand there from Catherine. You have a question?
Yes, on my laptop, it says what I get on my pictures, it says, 38,000 items. And then it says 4 items on this Mac only. So I'm assuming everything's downloading from the cloud. Is that an incorrect assumption on my part?
No, when you mean down here, it
Yeah.
says,
Mhm.
yeah. Remind me again what it says?
It says the amount just like you have, but then it says underneath in parents, 4 items on this Mac only. And
Mhm.
then it also says upload failed for 1 item. So am I correct in assuming there's no photos on this Mac saved? Because when I go with what you showed me before,
Yeah.
it's
Not necessarily, depending on your settings. We visited settings before. I have more to tell you about all the photo settings for the
okay.
cloud
All
and
right.
stuff. No, but let me say, but I kind of wanted this a bit dry, so I wanted to show you a little bit about the Photos app, but I'll keep going to the settings. But one of the things that you might have, if you have the optimized photo max storage or something like that, then what happens is that what you're seeing here is a small version of the photo. And if you did want the big version of the photo, it's going to be up on the cloud. Okay. So it's not that you don't have any photos here, just that you're seeing a small version, good enough for sharing, for online, to share with someone, to watch, to whatever. But if you were to want to make an 18 by 20 print of this, you would need the full size version of it, in which case you need to download it from the cloud. Okay. So that's all that it means. So for 99% of your life, this is all you need. Now, if you decide to make, this be a photograph that you're going to put in, as I said, the middle of your living room, and you need the really high res version, that high res version has been saved in the cloud. And I'll show you later how to get to it and stuff like that. But these are photos. These are not that they're not in your computer. They're just not the biggest sized ones. And the 4 that says on your Mac only, for some reason or another, I'd have to see, I haven't had that example, but clearly that means that they're not on the cloud, and it's probably maybe something you imported, but that for some reason wasn't able to be sent to the cloud. I'd have to have you share and find out what that is. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
All right. The next hand up was Barbara.
Well, you answered 2 of my questions.
Mhm.
I went in to make a peanut butter sandwich and some coffee, and I came back in and sat down and fell asleep. I didn't catch how you hook your phone up to your computer, but
I haven't
also,
yet. I haven't yet. Well, actually I have, but I haven't asked anyone to do it yet.
okay. The other thing is, I don't want my photos to go up to the cloud when I plug it in. I want to see them, but then I want to move them over to an external hard drive.
Okay, so were you here? Did you miss last week's class?
No, I was here.
Oh, you were there. Okay. I'm just trying to remember, because I know there's someone here who had to watch the video. I'm not sure who you were. Someone here who joined us today. Anyway, as I said just now to Catherine, that what you just asked for is all about the iCloud settings. And I spoke a lot about the iCloud settings last week. We're going to come back to it, maybe even today a little bit more. But I'll leave some more talk about the iCloud settings for the next class, because I want to spend a bit more time with looking at the photos we have here. That said, I had asked you guys to take a picture last week, remember? And then on your phone, and then I said, go ahead and tell me if these did or didn't upload. And there was someone, was it Tracy, for whom it hadn't uploaded? Did it ever upload?
Yeah, it like an hour or so later.
An hour or so later, yeah. So it had to do with, quantity or whatever it was, videos,
Well,
right?
there's multiple people zooming in the house,
Yeah.
and there maybe a TV was streaming, so I don't know, it just might have been Cox. I'm not really sure. But it did come through.
It did come through. So I'm glad, and I didn't know, but I asked you because as long as you have all the settings correct, which we checked your settings, they're all correct, it will happen, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer. If everything is good, you should be able to take a picture and automatically see it on your computer. Did anyone else test that out for whom it did not work, who had the settings set up?
I was here.
No. So
I don't remember.
the whole point is that the settings for it to download onto your computer or onto the cloud automatically have to be set up by you. And then a few of you guys chose not to have that. And if that's what you choose, yeah, you change the settings for it not to happen. So Barbara, whether you download them automatically or goes to the cloud or not is something completely under your control, right? By the way, my screen just changed color because nighttime. I'm gonna go ahead and tell it not to do that so that it doesn't change my screen so immediately.
Well, I went to photos on my
Um,
computer and about half of the photographs that are on my phone are now on, I can see them on my computer, and I didn't plug my phone into it. It's just sitting on my desk.
So you have photos in your phone and they appeared in your computer?
About half of them, yeah.
Well, the question about half of them is the part that's a bit questionable.
Well,
It should be
through
all
Sep-
or nothing.
through September 21.
Right, so it's possible that in September 21, you changed your settings and so nothing kept transferring. I don't want to talk about settings right now. I will, you
Okay,
guys.
that's okay.
I will. I'll keep talking about settings. I'm just going to avoid that conversation right now because A, it's time for a break, and B, it's kind of dry, which is fine. You guys need to know it. You really do. But we spent the whole last class on that. So I want to spend a little bit more time on this and on your phone. So what I mean by this is I want you guys now to open your phone, okay? And by the way, did you see how my screen just changed and suddenly everything is really dark, whereas before it was light? It's like the light mode or the dark mode of the computer just got triggered because of whatever time it is. Anyway, I'll go, you might have that or not have that, but it actually wasn't necessarily something I wanted. But anyway, I'll see if I can change that later. Certainly not for my, I'm gonna go back to light mode for this class. That's fine for me, but for the class it's harder when things begin to look different. So there we go. I just had to go change that back to light mode. So anyway, go ahead and open your phone and open your photos. And I'm going to share my screen now with my phone. And now this is my phone that I'm sharing with you guys. And the reason I'm asking you to do this is because I want you guys to notice that same setting of photos and months and days and years. And when you open your photos up, notice that down here, and I gotta get my little spotlight on my mouse. See down here, you have the all photos, which as you can see is the same set of photos that I was just showing you. And then you can go to days, months, and years. So I can click here on years, and then I can scroll through. This is exactly what I just showed you on the computer. And I can go, say, for example, to the 2015 photos. Once I go to 2015 and click on 2015, right? Then it opens up and it starts showing me by months. So notice that down here it shifted to months, which that's what happened on the computer too. When I was showing you years and you double click on, I didn't get to show you that because I had answered your question on number 15, then it goes to months. And then you can say, okay, I was looking for, this thing happened sometime in the summer. So you go, oh, not May, maybe June, April, May. Oh, I guess I don't have summer 2015 photos because I skip around so much, but here we go. This is summer 2015. So then I go into that month and then it shows me all the photos for that time. So when I click onto that day, then it moved over to days. See that down here? So when you go very specific, then it shows you the days and then you go day by day by day. Of course, as I have a very jumpy kind of set of photos, it doesn't have that many days by days by days. But so this is all photos. Then here you go down to days, months, or years. Or as I said, normally it would be the other way around. You'd want to start by, this is just a quick search to say, oh, I want some photos from way, way in the past. So here's my 2004. When I click on it, it'll say, oh, this was in June of 2004. This was in May, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make sense? Are you finding that in your phone?
Mhm.
And then on the, I'm going to switch my share again to my computer. And here's the same thing. So I go to years. I need to put my spotlight again each time I change. I go to years and then say that in that year, I go, okay, let me go and check out. I know it happened in 2019. So I click on 2019, double click on 2019. And when I double click on 2019, it self-selected months. And now I can go 2019, July, February, April, right? And so then I'll go, oh, this is it. And so I double click on this one And now it goes day by day. Now I'm in days. So it works the same. And if you have an iPad, it should work the same. Have you all been able to see that simile and find your stuff by days? So if you guys have a library that spans many years, like mine does, this helps you find stuff, right? Maybe you need to, was it really 2015 or 2014? I don't know, but at least you can not have to scroll through 2000 photos to find it. Does that make sense? All right. Any questions about that thing that I just did? All right. So that's the quick search by time. Okay, days, months, years, or all photos. All photos shows you every single thing, right? And this whole time we've been selecting library, which is every one of your photos. All right. Now, I'm gonna stop. I think, Betsy, you have music. I'm gonna mute you. There we go. So one thing I haven't shown you yet, and then after this, we'll take our first break, is that you might be seeing things the way I'm seeing them. Or you might already seen file names underneath if you've taken my class before, or you might be seeing other stuff. We're going to turn those choices on. But one thing that I want everyone to see, this little setting here, because it really shifts in how you see the photo. So imagine this photo here is a vertical or, you know, taken in portrait mode, and this is a horizontal taken in landscape mode. So there's all this empty space around it because of course they don't fit well into each other. You can choose to see this in all of them as little squares, which is what your phone defaults to. If you look at your phone and all photos, you see little squares. So if I click on this little guy right there, clink, everything turned into squares that they might be easier to see, but I can't tell now if his photo really chopped his head off or not, or if this really was another tree on the left, or did I really chop his head off? If I do it like that, then I can see that, yeah, that photo really is in the corner, and no, there was another tree there, and yes, his whole head is there. But see, like here, my son is sitting right on that little edge there. And if I do like that, I've cut him out. So this is cool if you're just trying to make it look a bit fancier, but it doesn't really show you the entire photo. So I don't really like this setting personally, because I look at this and I don't know if there's more to it or not. And here it looks like I've cut off one of my kids, but when I turn this on, then I can see that I have all of my kids, right? The photo on the camera only shows you in this little mode, in squares mode. You see the difference? It doesn't give you the long and sideways. So you have no idea on your phone until you click on a photo, whether it's actually vertical or horizontal. You don't know. All right. So, but your choice, you know, you can do that bigger or smaller, it's your choice. The other thing that you have, I'm going to leave it in this mode, which I like better. But the other thing you have right here is this minus and this plus, and that shows you how big or how small you see this, which is called thumbnails. So you can say that you want to see more and click on the minus. And so you see them a ton more, but small, really small, which if you're searching for something, this might work, because then you go, oh, there's the white dresses for the wedding. Easy to recognize, right? Because you're just looking really quickly. Or you could click on the plus sign and then see everything much bigger because you want to see more of the details of each photo. So you'll see much fewer photos at a time, but that's fine. You just need to scroll more, okay? You could click on the minus or the plus, or you can just drag it around to leave it at whatever size fits you best, okay? Sometimes you might go, God, I'm gonna just search for something. I know there's a lot of pink, and you go like this and you just search for those pink flowers. Oh, there we go, pink. Or at other times you want to have it really big because you just want to see the details of the smiles of the faces or whatever it is. Okay. So that I'm going to put this back in some in between mode somewhere around there as a general mode for searching. But there you go. That's how you, now, what about when you want to see the photo really big, because you really want to see this one, but you really want to see it big, then one option is to hit the space bar. And then it got really big. And then you hit the space bar and it goes down again. Space bar, space bar. You could also double click on it, double click. But then the opposite of double click is go to this little arrow there and go down. So if you do double click to get big, you have to go to this arrow to go down. If instead you go space bar, it's up and down really quickly. Okay. Did that work for everyone? Yep. Choose a photo and go, God, is this in focus or not? I don't know. Space bar. Oh yeah, The eye's okay, the rest is a bit out of focus, but I like it. Spacebar.
Diana,
Or, yes,
so when you're saying space bar, are you showing, are you saying it is on your iPhone or on the
no,
lap?
right now I'm showing my computer. Mhm.
Okay, all
The
right.
phone
That's
doesn't have a space bar, so just, this is all on my computer. On your
right.
phone, all you can do is select the photo, and when you select it, it gets big. And the only way to get back is to just hit the backwards arrow. So, hold on. Let me switch to my phone. Here we go. So here I'm on my, are you seeing my phone? No. There, it's showing up. So on my phone, if I'm scrolling through all of these little ones and I would see a photo in big, I just touch it and it gets big. And then the only way back to small is that arrow. So it's similar. Go to that arrow and it goes back down. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank
Click on
you.
something, it gets big, and then back there to go back down. All
Got
right,
it.
guys. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, so here you scroll. You can't change the zoomification of this stuff. You can only make it big. And then what you can do is keep sliding sideways. So click sliding and sliding and sliding and sliding, right? To keep seeing them. Now, if you slide up on a phone, you'll see a lot of the stuff that I'm going to show you how to see on the computer now. So say that you want to see information about this photo, you slide up and it shows you, this is the fire that we had on TV Hill photo. So you drag, 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 and then you just kind of go, oh, I want to know more about this one. You slide up and this one doesn't have more information. See how it's missing? And I'll show you later, but this one does not have more information versus, let me find one that might have information. I'll slide up. This one doesn't. Most of the photos have information. I kind of decided to keep a few photos without. I'm going to go to this one and I slide up and it tells me that where this photo was taken is in the Sperling Preserve in Goleta, California. Okay, which is out there by the end of Goleta, right? So it's giving me some information about the photo. Were y'all able to do that? Slide up and find some information about it. Okay, so now last thing before I keep saying last thing before I break, last thing before I break, is just I show you one thing on one, I want to show you in the other. So how do you find that same information on the computer? So I'm going to go to that same photo that I just showed you about that Sperling, that photo taken. Where was it? I need to find that photo. Anyway, that's my alarm reminding me to give you guys a break. All photos. Maybe I don't have it here. Did I not transfer all my photos from one to the other? Yeah, here it is. So here it is. This is that same photo. But in here, how do I find more information about this photo? And if I click on it and make it bigger, yeah, that is that same photo that I just showed you on my phone, right? So how do I find more information about this photo? You go up here to the top and you turn on this little eye for info. Get info on this photo. And then this thing pops up and it shows you the location, what camera, what file name. It shows you more information, and Sperling Preserve, Goleta, California. Okay, so this little box that pops up is information about this photo. And I click on the next one, more information about that photo. Okay.
I'm
And I
sorry,
click-
I didn't follow the cursor on your screen for where you found the eye.
Okay, up here on the top, I see the little eye with a circle. Get info on selected photo.
Looking for
Find
an
it?
eyeball. It's a letter I.
Oh,
Thank you.
sorry, the little eye. Yeah, the eye, right? The eyeball, the letter I, get info. You can also do Command I if you like shortcuts. Okay, so this turns on or off at will. And then when you pull it down, okay, you can have it on or off at will. It's always there. Now, we're going to learn that I keep this on all the time, or a lot of the time, to really know a lot about my photos. But for now, let's bring it down and turn it off from this little guy. And let's take our first break. So let me check on the time. My alarm has been ringing, telling me, give him a break, give him a break, give him a break for the last, 25 minutes. So it's 6 p.m. and the class goes till 7:15. So let's just take a 10-minute break. And it's 6:05. So let's come back at 6:15. Okay. So be back by 6:15 p.m. and we'll still have 1 more hour to go. All right.
Diana, is the information I need in the handout or
No, you mean the information about all the settings and stuff?
how I can copy? What I want to do is I want to copy all my photos to my computer and then copy them to an external hard drive.
Yeah. I have handouts that have that information, but you need probably more my direction for that.
Oh, okay.
So the stuff that's on your phones, you want in your computer, but you don't want it to go to the cloud, right?
Right, because I want to copy it. Some of them I need to rotate and I want to goof with them a little bit and then
So-
put them on external hard
Mhm.
drive.
So the best thing I can tell you to do, and I did it, and I talked about this last week. So before we go into the next into the next class, please make sure you try to review the recording again of last week so that you're caught up
Okay.
with that. No, wait, and then hold on, I'm showing you something, sharing my phone. What matters is the settings on your phone. You need to go to your settings on your phone. So anyone who's listening, who cares? Your settings on your phone. And then I'm just showing you this rather quickly. And then you go to your account right there.
Right.
And then into your iCloud account. And then when you get to photos right there, you need to not have iCloud photos turned on. And then you have to have on your photo streaming or something like that. I have it on the other phone. Let me see, because I have 2 different phones here that I'm using for class. I should be sharing this other screen with, it's not, this phone is not set up the way you want it. This phone is set up the way you want it. So let me share this screen. And so here you go into your iCloud and photos. And this is what you need to have. You have my photo stream turned on. And then this takes your photo straight just to your computer and not to the cloud. Okay. But for this to work, you need to have this turned off. This doesn't exist.
I don't
if the
have
other
the
one
same
is
thing
on.
on my phone. I don't have a my.
What do you have?
Well,
Well, if
okay.
you don't have my photo stream, it's because your iCloud is turned on. Is your iCloud turned on?
Storage is iCloud, the docs, photos, backup, manage storage.
Oh God, no, hold on. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Let me disconnect my phone. Darn it. I didn't want to download photos from this one into that one. Give me a second here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. I need to. Oh, okay. Oh, no, it's fine. They didn't download, did they? 237? No, they didn't. I just have, it's just confusing because I have 2 different sets of photos that I want to show, and I want to make sure I have them based on this phone. So tell me again, what you have is what?
Oh, okay. Can you see it?
Let me make you big. Hold on. I'm going to stop sharing and make you big. So go ahead. Wait, I need to spotlight you.
Am I wiggling too much?
No. Okay. So that's your iCloud. Okay. So now go into photos. Click on the photos. You didn't do go to photos. Here we go. And see, you have your iCloud photos turned on. So your choice there is to have your photos go to the cloud.
So I
'Cause
turn
it's
it
on.
off.
No, don't.
Oh,
No. That's not
Yeah.
something you should turn on and off at all. You should first know, because when you turn it off, things get disconnected. Leave it on.
okay.
If you're going to turn that off, all your photos stay in the cloud only and not in your computer. So it's the opposite of what you want. So just be clear what you want to do, and then we'll see. If you turn it off right now, your photos will stay on your phone only. They will not go to the cloud, but they will not go to your computer either.
Yeah, because what
So-
I don't want, I don't want that full resolution and videos automatically replaced with smaller device size version. Full resolution versions can be downloaded from iCloud. Because what I would have to do is download all of these from the iCloud to move them onto an external hard drive.
Yeah. So that's what you have to do. If that's what you want to do, then you can't have them on the cloud and then you move into an external hard drive.
Well, would it be better just to leave them there and then download them? Or I guess what I should say, the bigger copies of them, can I download them from the cloud straight onto an external hard drive?
I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to look into that. I don't know. So I'll
Because
look into
some of them
that.
I want to print, and you don't want to print the small
Well,
ones.
yeah, the whole point is that 100% of what we have, if you take photos with the phone, is something we'll never print. Lately,
Right.
all we print is a few. So then it's easier to go and download the few that you want to print and not to download 10,000 photos when you're going to really print only 10 of them, right? So you know what? I do need a small break, and since
Okay.
the class, it'll finish in 4 minutes. Give me at least 4 minutes of a break.
The
We'll keep
reason I
talking
was
later.
asking is I wanted to be able to take them on an external hard drive to Tennessee when I go,
Okay,
instead of
so
on my phone.
all right, so I need a break. Otherwise,
Okay.
I'm not going to be cogent or be able to finish the class. So 3 minutes left. I'll talk to you when I come back.
Okay, thanks.
right, I'm back. Is everyone else back? Sorry, I took an extra minute. When I give 15-minute breaks, it's fine if I help 5 or 10 minutes someone else during break, but when I give 10-minute breaks and I help most of it, then I need a few minutes to myself or my brain stops working. All right. So if you're here, give me a little wave, a hello, a yes, a thumb drive, especially those of you who I'm not seeing. A little thumbs up. All right. So back to we were talking about Barbara had a lot of questions about what happens to your photos if they go up or they go down. And I 100% I understand that there's still many questions about that. We barely began to speak about it last week, and there's a lot more. I decided to spend a bit more time on this other conversation about how to actually use the phone and the app to see your photos, to find some photos. We will definitely keep working with that, how to download those full-size photos from the cloud, how to get to the cloud to see your photos, all that kind of stuff. We will keep having that conversation. But I was just going to try to move on to that next week. So if you're still have questions about that, you should. But I believe, I hope some of you guys got your here's the question, just to see how much you do or do not have from last week's conversation. How many of you found that your photos that you take from your phone did appear in your computer, and that's what you expected to happen, and because of your settings and all was good? If so, give me a yes. If all the settings we worked last week left you in a place that you're still insecure about what you need and what you want, and you want to change it, then give me a no. Like Barbara and I would be a no, not because there's nothing wrong in saying no. It's just like the settings I have don't work for me, or I want to change it, or I still didn't get it very clear. Give me a no. And those of you for whom, yeah, the conversation made sense and you have what you want, give me a yes. And so even if you understood it, but you don't have what you want, give me a no. I just want to see how much more time, according to this class, to spend on that conversation, which we do need to have more, but I also want to make sure that it's serving the whole group. So I'm not seeing everyone answering. So maybe you might not be back. So Tracy and Leon, if you're not back, that's fine. Andrea, Carol, but if I'm saying Carol, you have a second computer, you did answer, okay. Kathy, okay, Betsy, you guys answer. So Betsy, maybe. So if the whole conversation we had about the settings still isn't, like, you understood it or you didn't understand it, it doesn't matter, but it doesn't satisfy you, you want to change something on your phone, you want to change your settings to a way that serves you better, then give me a no. Also, if you just didn't understand enough and you want more talk about it, give me a no. And a yes would be yes, you have what you want. Now, okay, so many of you have said yes. A couple of people aren't here to answer yet. And some of you just don't have the settings that you want. And you want to change what the choices are. Cool. Now, what I want to be, what I want to show you next week, which I did not show you yet, is this iCloud place that we're talking about. Because we talk about the phone, you have it in front of you. We talk about the computer, iPad, you have those in front of you. But what is this iCloud place that holds your photos that I say you can download from? So that we're going to go visit next week. And then we can have more of the conversation of when things go straight from device to phone, device to cloud to phone, or phone to device, or what we bypass and what we don't bypass. Okay, so we're going to go do that after we visit that iCloud place and see what's really there. All right, so keep taking notes of your questions of what you really want to happen with your photos, so that you can explain, like Barbara was saying, truly what she wants is to be able to get the download. Because the more I know what you need, it's easier to help. Like one question, this happened during break, so many of you guys might have been off doing break, but one of the things she mentions, she wants to print some things big. And another thing is she wants to take photos to Tennessee when she travels without having them on her phone. So how do you do that? Well, one thing that I wanted to be clear about is that if you want to print things, lately. Remember in the past where we'd take a picture and have to develop the whole roll of 12, 36 or however many. And we ended up with 36 photos. And sometimes you had 36 awesome photos. Most of the time you had maybe 5 awesome photos and, you know, another 20 that were like, ugh, they didn't turn out, but we all still had a ton of photos and boxes of photos. Now you can have 250 photos of one event, but really maybe you only print 5 or maybe 1. Like truly, how many of you guys still print photos? I'm going to clear your answers because I just want to know how many of you guys print some of these photos that we're talking about. And if you print them, what do you do with them? So Andrea, you print them. Okay. Carol prints them. Suzanne, so go ahead and give little thingies. And if you never print them, say no. And it's possibly you never print them because you don't even know how to get a good print out of something, or you just printing isn't an issue anymore. So I'm seeing about 3 hands right now that say, yes, you print. Andrea had a hand up. So I know she had said yes too. So that's 4 people who say that you print them. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then those of you who do print, how many proportionally do you print? Like many photos a month? Like professionally, I know Andrea, you might print more, but on a personal level too. Some of you guys are photographers. That's what you do. You go out and photograph stuff and then you make them look much better. And then you make good prints out of them to put on the wall, to gift, to sell. In my Photoshop class, I have people who fix photos to sell. They don't happen to be here right now. But if you were to print some, give me an estimate in the chat, like 5 prints a year, 55 prints a year, 105 prints a year. Like how many prints do you make? And then as Carol answered, percentage wise, 5% or less of what she takes makes it into a frame or to be shared. Now, to be shared is not to print, right? To share, you don't need a full-size image. So the only reason you need the full-size image is to print, right? So Andrea says, well, maybe she prints a dozen a year. Okay. So that might be a good, Suzanne, 50 prints a year to make into cards. So 50 different ones or one photo 50 times or 50 different prints to make into cards.
No, not 50 different ones, probably about 10 that I make, 5 to whatever cards out of, and then I make them as gifts.
And that said, you probably took 1,000 photos that year or 20,000 photos that year. I don't know, depending on how many you took. So percentage wise, it's so tiny, right? So for those of you concerned about not having that full size file, and by the way, I don't do this. I actually have all my photos full size. So I'm not telling you that this is the best or the smallest solution, but it makes sense that if you want just to take 10,000 photos and not worry and have them all in your phone in small or in your computer in small versions. And then those 10 that you decide, these are so awesome, I'm going to print to make into cards. Then from the cloud, and I'll show you next week, you go and you download the full size version because that's the one you need to make a full size print. Or you bring that full size print into Photoshop in my Photoshop class and I show you how to make it even better, right? Or you use this editing program, which is really good and does a ton of really good stuff to make it better in here. Okay. Now, Barbara is saying photos from my phone. I only have printed a few that my daughter sent me. I really miss my grandkids. So just so you know, 90% of the times that photo that she sent you is one of those low reses because you probably printed it as a 5x7 or a 4x6. That's all you need. When you need to print a big frame, that's when you need the big one down from the internet. Okay. So if you're really going to print 4x6s because you just want to have them around, my mom, every photo I send her, she just prints it. She just wants she's old fashioned. She wants to have the photos of my kids around. I totally get it. I miss that. I miss that I don't have photos of my kids. I have them in digital. I wish I could, have photos of my kids all the time. It just didn't happen that way now. Right. So if it's a 4x6, you don't need the high resolution for that. So the photos that you say that your daughter sent you to print, she probably sent you the photos straight from her phone and they're not the full size versions, but they do great 4x6 and 5x7 prints. All right. So they're not that tiny. They're just not big enough to print a big old, 20 by 80, you know what I mean? So it's still not such a dire situation. Now, if you do this professionally, you definitely want the big full size. So when I talk about it in my Photoshop, I'll be the other way around. I'm like, you want to keep the biggest photo you want, because then you're going to do all the stuff to it, and then you can do a really good print. But that's a different conversation. All right. So that said, maybe this helped you decide a bit more if you were worried about whether to have those big or small size photos in your phone or in your computer, or if it's okay to leave them in the cloud for when you want that 5% or 2% that you end up printing a year, you can just download those. Okay. All right. So, okay, so I'm looking at what you just answered my question there. So there wasn't anything. Okay, I am heading back into the Photos app now. And here on the Photos app, I was showing you how to do a basic set of searches with this stuff, always in the library mode here on the left, how to make them big, not big, square, which cuts out stuff, or less maybe pleasing initially, but much more useful to see really what's in the entire photo, bigger or smaller. And then over here, I showed you the info, right? The info window. When you click on it, and I don't have anything in particular selected, it just shows me different places where things have been photographed, even there, my photo from Argentina. So this is because I don't have a particular photo selected. So it's just showing me everything and generic places where I have my photos from. Okay, you can turn this on and off. You can close it up by that way, or you can turn it on and off by clicking on this eye again and again, and it turns on and it turns off as necessary. Now, everything else, if I have nothing selected, is grayed out. But the moment I select something, they now become possible black, right? So when I say select nothing, put your mouse somewhere in the middle in this white stuff. That means, and click, then you have nothing selected. Okay, which, by the way, if you have it in this mode, you have none of that white stuff, so you can't really not select. So actually, this mode allows us to deselect, and then when I select something, then this goes black. And why would I want to select for this to go black? If I want to either share this file, heart this file to add it to my automatic favorites that we'll do in a minute, or rotate it. Okay, so notice that here on the left side, I do not have anything that says the word favorites. You might have it or not, depending on if you did it, but I do not have anything that says favorites. Okay, so now watch what's going to happen when I click on this little heart. A little heart appeared here, and then the word favorites appeared here on the left. Now, what that means is that this is considered one of my favorite photos. I don't need to go up there to do that. I can also do it from here. Notice that every time I hover over a photo, a little outline of a heart appears. And if I hover away, it disappears. If I decide that's one of my favorite photos, then I have to go there and just click. And now I have added a heart to it. If I do that again to this one and this one, suddenly I've got hearts on 4 or 5 of them. Now, when I go to my favorites icon, oh, look, all those 4 that I put hearts on are showing up. Now, this isn't that I've duplicated them or moved them out of the way or put them in a different place. These albums, this is an album made by Apple, not by me. The only thing I have there is that I hit the little heart for it to be there. But it's like a smart album that shows me an instance of this photo. I did not duplicate it. Now I don't have 2 of them because this photo is here, but it is still here. It's just showing it to me without showing me the rest of it. It just shows me, so to say, separating the wheat from the chaff, right? So that's all that is, but it's still there. Okay. So it's just that I made a choice to put it here. Now, if I look at it again and I go, oh no, this wasn't one of my favorites, I can just take it off of here simply by clicking on that heart again. Boom, it's gone, right? So
Where'd
over
you get the
here.
heart at?
So if you hover over an image, that little outline appears here in the bottom left. It's hard to see when you have a light colored picture, but go to a dark one and you'll see. And so all you need to do is click, and then that heart now is, that photo has now belongs to my image of favorites. You can also select something and then go up here, but that's much more complicated. Like, why would you even do that when you can just do it right there? Okay. Sarah, your hand's been up for a while. Go ahead and
Yeah.
choose some more.
On the eye icon, the little eye that gives the information.
Mhm.
I noticed there's a little place there that says title. Is
Mhm.
that a place where you can give your photo a title?
Yeah, we're going to be working on titles, descriptions, keywords. We're going to be working on all of that. So yeah, you can
Okay.
give your photo a title. Mhm.
Okay.
So this is what she's talking about, guys. That the first thing on top is add a title. So we're going to work. I'm not going to do it right now. In fact, very soon. But first, I want to make sure everyone is pretty clear about this album thing that happened here with favorites. And when I click on favorites, anything that I've chosen is now considered a favorite. Now, if I were to unclick all of these, okay, I'm left with one. The moment I unclick this last one, I will not have a favorites album here anymore. Okay, so what matters is for you to know that these things only appear, you have them. So some of you might never have imported anything, that's why you don't have it. Some of you might have not deleted anything, that's why you don't have it. As much as I don't have a favorites because I don't have anything favorited. But the moment I favorite something, it appears again. Okay, that's to explain why things are or aren't there. Mimi, you had a question? Hold on. You need to raise your hand so that I can ask you in turn, because right now, Mimi, so do your little raised hand so that I can ask in person. So Mimi?
My question is, when you do favorites, then are those photos actually duplicates? Then they're held in favorites and they're taking up space also?
No, that is very, very important for you to know. This is not a duplicate. This has not turned into a duplicate. It does not duplicate your space. It does not duplicate your photo. This is the only part that's impossible to do an analog example of the real world, because if you have one pair of glasses, you have one pair of glasses. And if you misplace it, it's not also in your bedroom. You know how nice it would be to own a pair of glasses and to have a pair in your bedroom, a pair in your kitchen, a pair by the computer, and you really only own one of them, right? That doesn't happen in the real world. In the real world, you have to have 5 pair of glasses versus in the computers, you can have one time this photo. And right now it appears in your favorites album because you called it favorites. You can also then put it and make an album that we're going to make called summer photos, and it'll appear there. It could also be in an album called family photos because it's family, and it also appear there. It can appear 5 times in different albums, but it's always the same one photo, which is the beauty of handling photos here inside of the Photos app. Versus if you had them outside of the Photos app as the Finder, if you wanted a folder of photos called, family, a folder of photos called summer, you would have to have that photo copied again and again and again everywhere, and you'd have 5 copies of it. So that's why we handle the photos in here, to not have hundreds of copies. So definitely this photo exists one time and only one time. So if I delete this photo from here, it disappears from all the albums because I really only had one instance of that photo. Okay, but we're going to talk more about albums so you'll get a better idea of how that works. For now, this is the only album that we have, and it's an album that's being created just by me clicking on the ones that I like the best. Right now I'm clicking on any of them, but yeah, so it's just like a way to separate them from the rest. Okay. All right, so Barbara, your hand is up.
How did you get the heart?
You hover over an image and you click. Do you not see them when you hover a little
No.
heart?
No.
Then select it and click on this little heart right there. But you should be able to see it. It's maybe you have to make these a bit bigger, and then you'll see that when you hover over an image right here, and go to a dark one, when you just put your mouse over it, you'll see that an outline of a heart appears. And until you click on it, it doesn't go into when you move away, it goes away. Do you want to share your screen and I'll show you?
I'm trying to get back to all my pictures. library, and then it's by year. It's,
Okay, so if in year and years or months or stuff like that, this doesn't work. You need to be in all photos.
that's what I'm trying to do.
Library.
I just don't know how to get back there.
So on the left side, click on library, and on the top here, click on all
Oh, there we
photos.
go. All photos. Okay.
Okay.
And then how do I
Mhm.
make them bigger? Oh, right there. Okay.
Up here.
Yeah, it doesn't,
And you hover over it.
yeah, it doesn't, I don't get a heart. I just
So
wondered.
you're in the all photos mode here.
All photos in library.
Okay. So when you hover over here with your mouse, nothing happens.
Right.
Okay, well then share your screen. Meanwhile, until you.
Oh, you know what? There is a little heart.
Okay,
Add
good.
to favorites. It was just an outline. I couldn't see it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Alan.
Thank you.
Alan, your question?
Yes, when I go to the favorites, I have about 10 or favorites, but only 4 of them show a heart, and the others are still listed in shown in the favorites scene, but there's no heart on them.
I'm gonna heart a couple that has of a different background, and let's see, because when you have something that has a very light background, when you go here to favorites, you might not see it. No, you still see it. So that one's harder to see. It's not about that. It's not about having it be harder to see.
Yeah, there are definitely no hearts on some of these.
But they're in your favorites?
Yes.
That's weird. Why don't you share your screen? Meanwhile, you have 2 computers here.
Yeah.
So one of them, you need to turn the sound off, not mute, but you need to go to the record, to the icon of the microphone and click on the little arrow right next to it of the little icon on one of your 2 computers, and then choose leave computer audio so that the voice doesn't do that echo.
Got it. Okay.
Perfect. So you want to share your screen so we can see what's happening with your hearts?
Sure, I'll do that.
And Leon asked me something that you guys can't see the question, but yeah, the names will change. Okay, so I'm looking, I see that you have hearts on the top ones. And I also see that there's all the top ones have hearts, every single one of them.
Well, not all. Well,
Yeah.
The first 3 have hearts.
The first 3 have one. The last one has it too. It's the
Right.
ones, yeah. That last
yes,
one has
that's
it right
right.
there.
That
So
has a
it's
heart.
the ones that don't have
all
it.
5, the top 5 have hearts.
Yeah, the bottom ones too. The problem, it seemed, did you have white around it? Is it a scan with white? Because it's disappearing over the white. Yeah, there it is. See, on the bottom
Oh, I
left
see.
of that one, in
Oh,
the
I
white,
see.
there it is. See,
Okay.
it's just that you have it. Can you point? Don't click so it doesn't disappear, but point so people see what I'm talking about. See right there? It's just that it's a scan that's on white paper. So the heart
Oh.
is white on white. So that's
Right.
why you can't see it, right? But there it
Okay.
is. The heart's
Okay,
there.
thank you. That explains no
Yeah.
mystery.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. But it was a mystery too. So that's why I asked you to share. I'm like, okay, how can something be in the hearts folder if it hasn't been hearted? All right.
You gotta have heart.
Yeah, so usually like I don't have anything with white underneath, but like the nearest it gets is kind of that. And yeah, it's harder to see it. But pure white, like a photograph that's scanned white paper, then white on white is really hard to see. Okay, so basically what this is a very quick and dirty way to look at all the stuff and say you like it. Now there's many more permanent ways, there's other ways to do this, but say that every time, if you once a week, open up your Photos app and maybe you took 10 photos that week or 200 photos that week if you were at a special event. If once a week you were to go around and just click the heart on, the best ones, by the time you're done, you would easily be able to have, instead of 2,000 photos to look at, you might have 25 photos to look at or 200 photos to look at. Does that make sense? Of all your absolute favorites. So that's just a quick way to separate them. And then you can decide what you want to do with them or not, or put them in a different album or stuff that we're going to keep working on. But yeah. So that, as I said, will disappear once the last heart is gone. Then you won't have it. But if you keep doing this consistently and you have 30,000 photos in your albums, At some point, you might have 2,000 in here, but instead of looking through 30,000 photos, you're looking at only 2,000 all the time. Does that make sense? And it helps you then go, oh, this is the one photo of that moment. But if I go to the information of this moment, I'll go, oh, this is March 2021. And I remember that moment. There must be other good photos of that. So then you can head to the calendar and go to your library and months and go to the year 2021, whatever, and then look at March and find other photos of that moment. You know what I mean? Just because over here you had separated one photo of that event, say you just want to be able to find it quickly, but this photo is lost amongst 30,000 photos, is hard to find. But once it's here, you can use the info to give you this important information, which is the day. So by date, you can always then go find all the other photos of that moment. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a quick way. You don't have to say select 20 photos of that moment, unless 20 photos are really that good, but you can select, 3 photos of that event that are marvelous. And then when someone else says, oh, but didn't you also have a picture of Aunt Polly? You go, oh yeah. So you click on this, you go March 2021, you go find your 200 photos, and then you find, oh, there's Aunt Polly. I just hadn't put a heart on it. And then you share that photo to the person who had a photo of Aunt Polly. Got it? So that kind of is another way to use this album as a way to select some photos of events that are important to you, and then be able to pinpoint which way you can get back. There's so many other ways to find photos that this might not be the best way. I'm just showing you one other way in which this can be. Or for example, if you know that you're going to head over to Tennessee to see your daughter, right, Barbara? So you go through all your photos and you put hearts on the ones that you'd like to have big size for some reason. And then once you've selected them and then when you go to the cloud, you have separated them and you can just download only the big ones of the 5 that you've given hearts to, or the 25 that you've given hearts to. Like I did that. In a way, this library that you have here, I'm showing you, all these photos that I'm showing you, is I traveled to Argentina this summer to visit my mom. And what I did is I grabbed some good photos that I showed she'd like of us growing up, my kids, which is why you see my kids here a lot and stuff like that. And then I took some photos of my house and I just put them on an album just called, for Argentina, just to show to my mom. And I just took that because I didn't want to take, I put them on a little stick and I just showed her those photos, and I took her those photos because, instead of having her sit through hundreds and thousands of photos. So that's the little sub selection that I brought here to this class when I needed to bring in some photos really quickly, which is why you see a lot of photos that I consider good and not too much chaff, because they are, already sub selected. So you don't have the 20 photos of that ski trip, you have the one, right? But most of the times when you take photos, if you look at a real photo album, you probably have many things at the moment. So here I brought in like 4 or 5 of the same moment. This is typical, right? Here is 3 photos of a Christmas parade, 4 photos of a Christmas parade. And normally you might even have 50 photos, and you click on one. And so here's one photo of the Christmas parade. And then I go to the right with my arrow and there's the next one. And then I go right to my arrow and there's the next one. I'm not going to print these 3 photos. I might discover one that I like the most, or here's the whole, truck coming down or whatever. So you maybe took 20 photos that day, right? But you decide that of those, the only one that you really want to print, maybe if you want to print it at all, is that one. So you put a heart on that one, or you don't want to print it, but maybe you want to share it, or you just want to remember that event. So you put a little heart on it, and that separates it from the rest when you go in there. All right. So those are called albums. They're not really called albums. They're just really called favorites, right? But in the end, this is how albums work in this program. Only these are the albums, so to say, created by Apple, because Apple can find things for us based on what it knows about the photo. And what it knows about the photo is when you took it, the moment you take a picture, that information of date and time gets recorded into the details that make this photo. So the file has embedded, it's called metadata, and all this metadata comes with the photo. And one of the things that comes with every photo is date in which it was taken. And so Apple knows that. file name, which doesn't help much, but it's there. It's the file name. How many times do you look for the file number 0125783? Rarely, right? But for the computer, it helps. Then the phone also knows what phone took this photo, what camera took this photo, what device took this photo. And then it even tells you how many pixels, like how big or small it is. It also tells you how many megabytes, what format it's in JPEG, what camera was set at the ISO. So this is all photography stuff that some of you might care about a lot. Some of you might have no interest in knowing this information at all. So that's fine. But it does matter because then the computer can find photos taken on my Canon camera versus photos taken on my Nikon camera, or the photos taken on my Apple iPhone 6 versus my Apple iPhone 8. You know what I mean? So even though you care or not, it's information the computer has. Apple has that because it comes with the photo and it becomes items that are searchable. You know what I mean? Also, the other thing it knows, if your phone or camera has a GPS location embedded and turned on, then the computer also knows where this photo was taken. Okay, so in this case, this photo was taken at the Christmas parade that happens on State Street. And I guess we were sitting near Paseo Nuevo because these 3 photos, when I click on them, it says Paseo Nuevo, Santa Barbara, California, United States, because that information was recorded with that photo. Now, there are some photos that don't have that information and some photos that do. So not all your photos will have that information. I'm clicking on this one here and it has no information. And actually some of them I know why and some of them I don't. And others, like this one is from Santa Barbara City College. This is the view. This is the stadium, Santa Barbara City College. So it says Santa Barbara City College. Now you can turn this on or off. And in the past, I've had these on and it's a little bit invasive of my privacy that when I show photos of my family, you see my address and everything. So I actually, for this class, turned that information off just so that I don't feel so bad showing personal photos. Not that anyone is, you guys are going to do anything weird, but now and then there's always a weirdo and I don't want it recorded all over in my videos what my address is. So, but you go click on one of the photos that you have and see how it says there where it was taken. And if you were taken at your home, that'll say that it was taken and it'll just say the neighborhood. Maybe it won't find exactly the phone, but if you click on that little button, if you look at the map, it would actually tell you exactly what GPS coordinates it was taken at. So you can choose to have that happen or not in your phone. Okay. You can go to the service settings, location services in your phone and say, no, I don't want my photos to record this information, or yes, I want my photos to record this information. As I said, there's many reasons why it's awesome. And the only reason I see that's negative about it is privacy. So depending on how you share your photo with other people, you can share that photo with or without that information. So then you might say, well, whenever I share a photo of my personal house, I might want to not share the location information. But on the other hand, having the information on it allows you to then say, well, I want to find all the photos of Sequoia, for example. So you click in the search Sequoia and any photo from the Sequoia location pop up. So Mammoth, you write Mammoth and all the photos from Mammoth pop up. So it's really easy to search your photos if you have locations for them. Does that make sense? So say I traveled to New York and I can search for photos from New York. And if I don't remember what year I went to New York, it doesn't matter, but I do know where I went. So I search for New York. Okay. So again, this is all data that comes with your photos and that you choose or not. The only one you can choose to have connect or not to your photos is the location. And then Apple uses that to help us find them. So let me show you how. Head over here on the left to the word places and click on places. Okay, did y'all find the word places? Okay, now if you take photos that are in here on a device, on a camera, say a Canon or something like that, did not have GPS location turned on, like an older point and shoot camera that maybe didn't have that possibility, then those photos will not have location services. But if you took your phones on, if you took your photos on a camera, a digital camera, Canon, whatever, that does have GPS location turned on, then that will be recorded. So it's not only the iPhones that do it, okay? But say iPhones or Samsung or whatever, by default, they record your location. So in my case, all these photos, including, as I said, since I went to visit my mom down here, if I scroll down, there's also some photos of my mom down there in Argentina. So if you've been traveling, I love the thought. So here's, I don't have it handy right now, but if you've only been to one place, then the map is a bit bigger. But since these photos represent a series of locations, it's showing me 4 photos from New York, 1 from the Badlands, 1 from the Terminal C in Texas, United States. This is when we were in the plane waiting to take off to go to Argentina. And so, you know, Dallas, Fort Worth, basically. So that's where that photo is from. 1 photo from when we were in Vancouver, and 90 photos of this area, right? So 5 of this area. So if I get closer and I click on these 5, it shows me Arches, Grand Canyon, Canyonlands, and Kaibab. So it's really 5 different locations, okay? It's not all the same location. And if I go in here, it shows me different ones, but in the big map, it divides like that. Or I can make this map bigger. I can go to this little plus size right here. And as I begin to approach that area, suddenly that thing that was 5 divides into 3 and 2, right? And over here, this thing that was 90 for this area turns into, oh, well, some of it was in San Francisco. Sorry, I didn't want to click on it. Some of those 90, somewhere in San Francisco, somewhere in Tahoe, somewhere in Mammoth, some was in Death Valley. You know what I mean? And then that was Palm Springs, and this, oh, I still have 80 left in Santa Barbara. But then as I approach even more, it divides even better. So as I approach Santa Barbara, we discover that, well, 1 was actually Fraser Park, 1 was in Ventura, 78 in Santa Barbara. You see what I mean? As I approach, all those 90 photos begin to have more specific. So now I'm going to keep approaching. I'm going down to this plus size right here. Or if you have a laptop, you can put your fingers and do like this to open up. And then as I make it bigger, then I discover that I have photos from all over Santa Barbara, Montecito, Goleta. That's the Earl Warren Programs, was wherever I took my shot. There I'm getting my first shot ever, the COVID test shot. Here's from Tenroki, here's Rattlesnake Canyon. Okay, so woof, look at downtown. I have photos from all over downtown. Are you finding that in your case? Are you able to go in and out of your photos and see where they were taken? Pretty cool, huh? Any questions? I'm seeing a hand up for Alan, or was it the question from before?
It's an old question, sorry.
No question, that's fine. Catherine, you have a question? I turned it off. I turned it off, Alan, I turned it off.
Thank you.
Oh, I did
Catherine?
have a question. I'm sorry. Can I
Yeah.
ask it now?
Yeah.
Did you say that you could turn off the info when sharing the photo?
Well, it's not that you can turn it off. There's a way to export the photo, which loses its metadata, and there's a way to save it, which keeps it. So ask me this again, not today, but
Okay.
another time when we talk about exporting photos. And then depending on how you share it and how you export it, it goes without information or with information. Okay. Because yeah, sometimes this is something you don't want, and other times something that you do want. All right, so here's my son graduating from, and you can tell, Santa Barbara High School because of where it is, right? Or in fact, the other one was graduating from Santa Barbara Junior High last week, the year both of them graduated, one from junior high and one from the high school, right? So that's what these are. And as if I get even closer, we discover that there's the junior high and there's the high school, right? So anyway, as you can see, this is cool or not, depending on how you feel about privacy. Or this is the way I see this. At first I was a little bit nervous about it, but how many of you guys did a trip lately? Maybe you, none of us made trips lately. What a question. Well, I actually did go to Argentina, but say that you just went to Italy. You know, I know Leon loves Italy. Say you just traveled in Italy and spent a month there traveling all over, taking pictures. Wouldn't it be wonderful when you come and check your photos, you can remember exactly where that photo was taken versus this photo was taken, or, you know, like, oh, that was in the plaza of this little town. And instead of looking at the ball and going, no, that was somewhere in Italy and I can't remember where, right? So anyway, just giving you ideas. Leon, do you have a question? Your hand is up.
Yes, please. I have taken a bunch of storefront photos downtown.
Mhm.
I imported them to my Mac.
Mhm.
I then sent them back to my editor friend in Providence. If I want, okay, so they're on my Mac. If I want to take them off the phone, can I hit that trash can? And it's not going to take them off my Mac, right? It's just taking them off my phone.
That deserves much more time probably than we have today. There's a short answer and a long answer to that, but it depends on your settings, right? And since I don't know everyone's settings, I don't want everyone to think this answer is the same for everyone. But let me just say that if you have the settings set up where the cloud is working, that your phone's photos are going, that you take a picture, it goes to the cloud, it goes to your computer, it goes to your iPad, right? If you have that system set up, if you delete a photo in one place, it deletes from everywhere else.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll call Creative Media tomorrow and I'll get that clarified, because I have a different loop than you do, because they have me on their loop as opposed to yours. No, nothing personal. It's just it just panned out.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're saying about loop or.
Well, just what you just talked about, the iCloud and the this and the that. I'm on it.
Tell me what you're doing, because I personally don't have my photos on that version anyway. I'm just asking you, what do you have, to see if I can then answer specifically to you. So I just did a generic answer, which was for people who have everything looped up that way. If you delete it from one, it deletes from the other. But if you don't have your elements connected, then maybe the answer is different. So how do you have yours set up?
I don't know. I just don't have it. I know that it's not the same as you specified to me once. And I don't want to take the class time up because,
all right,
you
no,
know,
but
and I
as
appreciate you offering to take the time, but
yeah, no, that's fine. And also I said that I will speak about this next week, right? So
Yeah.
next week, we're going to spend much more time on, again, the settings. We're going to go to the cloud, see what photos we have. And then you can also decide if you want one version versus another. You don't need to be set in whatever you've got. But
Totally.
yeah, so the answer is depending on your settings. But if you have things connected and you delete something, is because if you don't want it, it deletes from everywhere.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So, for example, if I go to recently deleted here, I have a lot of photos that I deleted, but they haven't yet deleted from my my computer, right? If I go to the same thing on my phone, so I'm going to click and share my phone now. So I have two different settings for my phone, and right now, sorry, two different settings, two different phones. So this phone is a school phone. It's not my personal phone right now. And so this one I set up so that it works with the cloud this way. So say that I don't like a photo, say that I go to one of these and I don't want it anymore, right? And I decide, so everyone, I'm showing you on the phone first instead of on the computer. Say that I don't want this photo here anymore because I don't need it anymore. So I can just select the photo that I don't need anymore. Click on it. Hold on. Click on this photo, open it up and say, I don't need this photo anymore. Or you can just, if you long click, then it does this thing where it just lets you tell you, oh, you want to copy it, share it, or delete it, right? But if you click gently on it, then it opens up. So it's different. The long click, depending on the phone that you have, a gentle click opens it up. And then you can go down here to throw it away. Or, let me get the annotate. You can go down, let me get the spotlight. So you see my mouth? You can go down here to throw it away, or to give it a heart, remember, or to share, right? So if this is a favorite, you on your phone can immediately click on it and say that you don't want it anymore. I'm going to back off by going to this arrow. And the other way I can open it is long click. When I long click, it gives me similar choices. I can either copy it, share it, heart, favorite, or delete it. Okay. There's one different thing. There's a choice of copying it that the other version didn't give me. So let's go ahead and say that I want to delete it. So everyone choose a photo that you don't like. Don't worry, you'll be able to recover it. Okay. It's not gone and lost forever yet. So in this mode, hit delete, or if you did a short click in this mode, hit delete, hit the trash can right there. Either way, hit delete. And it'll say, whoops. It says this photo will be deleted from iCloud Photos on all your devices. Why does it say that? Because in this phone, okay, and this is important, I have my settings set up that my iCloud Photos is turned on. So that means that this is connected to my cloud and that's connected to my computer. So this phone, this setup that I'm showing right now, as opposed to the setup that I was showing, I have two different phones I can demo here for two different setups. And this phone, this photo that I'm deleting will be deleted from all my devices, right? So let's go ahead and delete it. Don't worry, it's recoverable. Even if you chose a photo that you like, just test this out. And even if this is not mentioned, you can still recover it. Even if the photo isn't going to be deleted from our devices, delete one photo. Okay, I deleted it. Deleted photos are moved to the recently deleted album. You can recover or remove from recently deleted albums within 30 days. Now, since this is the first time I use this phone, it's telling me this. I think it doesn't tell you this every time, right? But the first time it's teaching you that you have 30 days before you actually lose this photo. I'm gonna say, okay, thank you. So now I'm gonna back off and that photo is gone, right? So if I now go to, I'm gonna immediately switch over to my computer. Okay, in my case, my setup is working pretty directly. Okay, so now I'm in my computer, and if I go look for that photo, right? If I remember where it was or wasn't, I might be able to find it. But where I know for sure I can find it is in my recently deleted. I go to recently deleted, and there it is. The last photo added to my recent deleted photo is the photo that I just deleted from my phone. Okay. So in my computer, it's also been recently deleted. Now, again, it depends a little bit on the speed of your connection, but if I recently deleted it here, it deleted from my phone as well. Now I'm going to go over here to my photos, and I'm going to delete another one of these. I'm going to right click on the computer now, not on the phone. I'm going to right click and delete one photo. Okay, so we're again deleting a photo. Don't worry, we'll recover them if you don't find a bad photo. Delete anything because we'll recover it. I'm going to delete one photo. And again, because I'm connected in that mode, it's warning me that it's going to be deleted from all devices. So I delete it. And again, it's telling me this. This is the first time you do it, it tells you. And after that, it just lets you delete it. Okay, so now I go to my recently deleted, and there we go. Both of these screenshots of the map from when I was in New York that I wanted to find myself have both been deleted. But notice that it says 29 days left versus this one here, I deleted 2 days ago. So I have 27 days left. So that's how long I have left before these photos disappear. Okay. Now go to your phone. Go to my phone. And this is for the people for whom this system is set up to go all the way around. When you go to your phone, how do you find the recently deleted on your phone? Because yeah, it deleted from here too. So where do you find the recently deleted? And this is why I was saying that all these names under there are albums. You go to the word albums right here in the bottom. See the albums on your phone? When you go to your albums, if you scroll up and down, the very bottom choice is recently deleted. So, okay, so I went to albums right there. Here's where I see all my photos. Here's the word library. It's equivalent to the one we were seeing before. Library sees all my photos. Albums shows my favorites, for example, if I want to look at my favorites. Now, these are the photos I have in my favorites. Cool. I back out, scroll all the way down, and here's recently deleted. And here they are. These are the two that are recently deleted, plus everything else that I had there that says 27 days, 29 days. So it's equivalent. Does that make sense, you guys? Have you all be able to find that yourselves? Has that worked? So for better or for worse, this system of having the iCloud all the way across the systems makes handling your photos really easy, because what you do in one device happens on the other. So you don't have to be worried about where is it, where isn't it? On the other hand, for some people, they want to be able to keep the photo in one place and not in the other, and then it becomes a bit more confusing. But if you're good at file management, you can do that too. You can have them separated. You just need to remember that anything on your phone is not on your computer, and you need to download it when you want to download it. But if you delete it from your phone, it won't delete from your computer. And if you delete from your computer, it won't delete from your phone. So you need to be more careful about what you delete and make sure that you aren't keeping double copies and stuff like that. Does that make sense? For those of you who want this system to be simple, this is the simplest system. If you really didn't want that, then don't have it. Now, if you're ready to say, oh, I didn't mean to throw that one away, you can go all the way to the recently deleted over here and say, oof, I really didn't mean to throw that one away. So you can head over here to the word select, and then you select the ones that you did not want to delete. So I did not really want to delete that one, and I did not really want to delete that one, and I did not really want to delete that one, for example. So those are three that I didn't want to delete. Or see how every time I touch them, the thing is turning on. So I'm going to turn these two on that I just deleted and say I didn't mean to delete them. Okay, so then after I select them, I can go down here to recover them. So I'm going to just recover only one of them, because I'm going to show you how to recover from the other thing too. So I'm going to select it. Okay, and then I'm going to go click down here on the word recover. Ding, recover photo. So now it has not been deleted. On the other hand, I might decide, well, this one I really don't want to wait 27 days for it to disappear. Okay, like I want to delete it and I wanted to delete it now. So I can say select, okay, select it and delete it. But if I do this second delete from inside of the trash, I am deleting it for now and forever. Got it? It is gone and will never come back. Is that clear? If I'm in my trash, okay, this is already the recently deleted. If I wait 27 days, it'll be gone forever. But if I don't want to wait 27 days, I don't want more space on my computer. I know I don't want it in my phone. Why have it there for 27 days? I click select. I select it. And then I just go all the way down here and delete it. And that one, this photo will be deleted. This cannot be undone. You are deleting from the deleted. You're deleting from the trash. Does that make sense? It's like you're taking your trash out to the street and the dump truck has gone by and it's gone forever and ever.
Thank you.
Delete.
I just did 12 of them and I feel better. Thank you for that trick. Yeah.
You're welcome. So now I'm going to share instead my computers. And here's my recently deleted on my computer. Okay, I'm in my recently deleted album. And I can again say, well, I never meant to delete this one, so I'm going to recover it. Or, yeah, I never again want this photo, so I have to wait 27 days for it to be gone. Or I can just, from my recently deleted, I can either choose to recover it or delete it, right? So I'm going to just delete it because I know I really don't want it. Are you sure you want to delete it permanently? This cannot be undone. I'm like, yeah, for sure. I don't want that one. But on the other hand, I decide, no, I want to recover this one. I really didn't mean to put it in the trash. That was a mistake, and recover. So remember I said, don't worry, if you do this, you won't lose them. Anything you just played with that you didn't mean to trash, go ahead and hit recover. And it just goes back in. So if these are all sitting here waiting to be deleted for 27 more days. But if I go back to all my photos, I recovered the photos that I had deleted, both with my phone or with my computer, and they're all still there because I recovered them. I didn't really mean to delete them. Does that make sense, you guys? The process? All right. If for someone, if this didn't work, we have 3 more minutes of class. And of course, I usually stay answering questions, but I see Mimi, you raised your hand, but if for anyone for whom this was complicated or confusing or it didn't work or whatever, please speak up. Mimi, your question? If you're speaking, I can't hear you. You need to unmute yourself.
You answered it already.
All right, cool. Lower your hand. Does anyone else have a question about anything that we did today? All right, so then if there's no questions, I'll continue. If you've never deleted anything, you wouldn't have recently deleted. Now I've made all of you delete something, so the recently deleted would have appeared. But if you recovered that photo, then the recently disappeared again. So find a photo that you really don't want, that you really truly don't want, and delete it. And then we'll see it take some time, months, as the weeks go by of our class, we'll see it approach closer and closer to the deadline for when it'll disappear. Okay? Like one that you really don't want, that you're happy deleting, go ahead and delete it. And this time leave it in the, don't recover it, leave it in the recently deleted. And then we can go check it every week and you'll see that it'll say 7 days less each time until finally it'll be gone. Although it does warn you, this may take, it says 30 days, but it says this may take up to 40 days. So maybe it's not instant. This may take a bit longer than 27 days. It says there. I don't know why, but for some reason, maybe every so often they do a purge. Okay. So then as you saw over here, this doesn't say albums, but we did find the favorites and the recently deleted on the phone under albums, because in the end, these are albums, only they are made by Apple. So all a word album means in this application is a way to separate a subset of photos, right? So Apple separates anything you've deleted and puts it in an album waiting to be deleted. Apple creates a place called favorites every time you hit a heart, okay? It also, in my case, created an imports, because I imported some stuff, so I can go in here to the imports to see anything I've imported. It also showed you photos based on places. So these are all based on stuff that Apple knows. Next, in the next few weeks or classes or whatever, I don't know who's having that noise behind you. In the next few weeks or classes, we're going to create our own albums based on stuff that only we know about it. Like this was Aunt Polly's wedding. Apple can't know that this was Aunt Polly's wedding. So we're going to create an album called Aunt Polly's Wedding. You got it? But Apple does know by place, by time, by people, and by memory. So we're going to head into this, but this is going to take much more time. So I can't go immediately into those because this alone is going to take a little bit of time to figure out. I just wanted to show you really quickly when I went to places, this is generic, but you can choose to see it up here in the map. Also, you can choose to change this into a satellite view. It's just a quirk. You don't need to see it. Or in a grid view where you just see the photos divided by place, but you don't see the map. I like this one the best because it kind of gives you a better idea. But in case you were seeing them a bit differently, you were wondering what was wrong. So I'm going to head back to library and all photos, and I'm going to leave my photos in that mode. And we're going to keep learning more about this next week. So my request as homework, I haven't shown you yet. For those of you who know how to create albums, create an album for this. But those of you who don't know yet how to create an album. You do know how to make favorites. So I want you to go to photos, not that are your favorites, in fact, but photos that have something to be fixed. Remember, I had asked you, go find photos that you are going to want to work and edit on them. And say that you're going to look at this photo and go, God, I love it, but I wish I could lighten it or darken it or crop something off. And so say that I look at this photo and go, I wish I could crop this piece off. Okay, then give it a little heart. So right now, go ahead and say, I wish this photo was darker, was lighter, was black and white, had better color, right? So then select it and give it a little heart. And what's going to happen is that all these photos will end up in favorites. And then when we're ready, when I teach you how to create your own album, we're going to create an album called Photos to Edit in Class, and we're going to put them in that album. But this gives you a way to, as you look at photos this next week, that's a quick way for you to begin to separate them from the rest for the moment that we get around to that. Okay. You're also welcome to use favorites as actual favorites and start favoriting them. Just because you want to put them in favorites. All right. Cool. So I am going to send you an email. I forgot, once again, class is technically over. I forgot to show you how to reach for the handouts. So if you have to leave, please leave. I'll send you an email with a recording showing you how to reach for the handouts. But for those of you who don't need to reach or who already know how to get to the handouts, go ahead and leave. But if you don't know how to get to the handouts, then hang out for a minute if you have an extra 5 minutes, and I'll show you how to get to the handouts and the class recordings. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to send you a video of this so you can do it on your own. But let me just show you this really quickly because I forgot to do that. So I'm going to open Safari, and basically you have to go to a browser. Okay, so I'm going to go to a browser and share that browser with you. So Safari, Chrome, it doesn't matter which browser you use for this. And we're going to go to City College, sbcc.edu. And then head over to Pipeline. Sign into Pipeline with your Pipeline username and password and say login. Basically what I'm telling you right now is pretty much the video I'm going to send you in case you forget these steps. So don't worry about taking notes. Then here on student, go to student resources. And then over here, you'll go to Google Drive. Google Drive. Now, what you see here will be different from me because this is your drive. When it says my drive, is truly each one of your own drives. And maybe you have nothing here. Maybe you have a lot here. I don't know in your drive. What I do know is that you need to go to shared drives. And under shared drives, you should see here a folder called iLife Shared Drive. I have many, but you should see at least one called iLife Shared Drive. Find it and double click on it. And this is the stuff that I put here for you. Okay. These are handouts. This is a lot of information. And the most important thing right now for you is the top thing on the left, Zoom class recording links. When you double click on that, you'll see here, these are the recording links for last week. This is the link for last week. By tomorrow, you will have one here with today's class. So you click on the link and you click again on the link, and that takes you to YouTube where you can view the entire class. So this is a 3 hours long video, and you can click on any of these parts to see different of the video, watch the whole 3 hours, or skip around and go, oh, I wanted to see something she said 2 hours into the class, click on the 2 hours in, and then you see that portion. And this has a lot of information about the cloud and the settings. I spent a lot of time last week with, cloud settings, if you can see that, so you can look for that and review what I said that you needed to do and that kind of stuff. So that could, in case you needed, review that stuff. All right, so that's where you'll find the recordings for the class. And today I'm going to send you this link as an email. In fact, I already sent it to you before the class started. I sent you an email. So if you're in both my classes, you got it twice. This is a link to a recording that tells you how to do this exact thing, which is how to get to the handouts. Okay. So if getting to the handouts was, I went a little bit too fast, watch the recording where I take it slowly. You can review it and then do it yourself. And then that's how you get to the other, I'll show you good handouts and stuff like that right now. That's all. All right.
Thank you, Deanna.
You're welcome, Leon.
Thank you.
We love you.
You're
Tim?
welcome, Betsy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Write down questions because by next week you might forget. As you come along and have stuff, just take notes of your questions, okay? I'll see you in a week. Bye.